Check. Check, 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 check. I think you can hear me now. Wow. Look what they're trying to do. Look what they're trying to do. Already, I'm just saying, that's crazy. But I don't know why that setting was changed at all. I'm just saying. So, there you go. Okay, well, when I first came in, I was like, hey, everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. It's Rockin Robbie Live. It's a Teen Dog Shades night. And then they tried to silence us. But guess what? PCP Army's invincible. We're strong. We're better than that. Hell. Anyway. Man, that's so weird. Hold on now. Let's check. You can hear me now? You can hear? Yep. I see it now. Holy cow. Good thing I got Pablo to back me up right there. Anyway, welcome to Rockin Robbie Live. Welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. Tonight we'll be talking about movies, comic books, pop culture, and all that jazz. But of course it is Teen Dog Shades night, so we're going to be talking about aliens, UFOs. Who knows what we're talking about? I have some plans, We're going to be talking about the best comic books of last week. My shop still hasn't gotten their comics. We still haven't gotten our comics from last week. And we haven't gotten our DC books yet. So there's no DC sneak peek tonight. So that's sad. But we do have a great program tonight because it's a Teen Dog Shades night. So I hope you got your shades on. I do want to say that you should follow Pop Culture Philosophers on Facebook and on Instagram. If you're on Facebook, join the PCP Army, the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. You can follow me on Twitter at the Rockin Robbie. You can support the channel at patreon.com/PCP, like these fine patrons right there. Or you can do so with Super Chat, which triggers a Joker video, sometimes a Hellboy song. You never know what you're going to get. But I appreciate everybody's support at all times. And I do want to make a couple of announcements real quick here. Let's see. Thursday night, we will be joined on stream live by Joe Corallo. Joe Corallo's got a new book coming out from Mad Cave, so he's excited to talk about it. I'm excited to talk about him, his thoughts on the current state of the industry. Joe is a super good dude. We've had him on the show before. This marks his second appearance, and I could not be more excited. PCP Movie Night continues Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Time, with our look at Meteor Man, and I'm very excited for that. And then Dylan's Horror Show over at Dylan's Comics. I think there should be a link down in the description below. But this upcoming week, we just talked about our favorite 90s horror movies last night, but this upcoming Saturday, it's all about Adam Green, actually. Hey, and we got a super chat from Perry. Station Perry. Thank you. All right, but it's going to be an exciting week here at Pop Culture Philosophers. Weekly comic book review. Hopefully we'll get comics this week, We're still waiting on last week's, like I said. Anybody out there still haven't been able to find any comics? You haven't been able to get your comics in? I'm curious. Just curious. Speaking of Invincible, what about that trailer? Yeah, that Invincible trailer is pretty cool, I mentioned it on the wrap-up this morning, but Invincibles, I've only ever read the first 12 issues, the first 2 trades. I mean, the show looked really cool, and it's one of those ones that I really need to find the time to watch it. Find the time to watch it. How's everybody doing? I hope you had a good week. We got some exciting comics coming out. So we're going to kick it off with the first 6. We haven't really had a Rockin Robbie Live in a couple weeks, man. I feel like kind of rusty at this. There was no audio. Like, what's going on here? What's going on? Anyway, the first 6, we've been going through my Blu-ray collection for a weird stretch, so why not continue? We've been in the P's, so let's continue on. First movie showing off tonight from my personal collection is The People Under the Stairs. That's a great Wes Craven film. I mentioned last night on Dylan's Horror Show that there's not a Wes Craven film I don't like except for Scream 3. There's my copy of Pinocchio, 70th anniversary. I'm sure there's probably going to be an 80th anniversary or something soon. I don't know. There's my Phantasm collection. That's all 5 Phantasm films in one set. It's the one that came with the ball. I got it from Canada because this wasn't a U.S. release, but it's our region, so that's super cool. There is the Phantom of the Opera. That is the film version of the musical. This was directed by Joel Schumacher. I love Phantom of the Opera. So, yeah. There's Planet Earth. This is a weird stretch in my Blu-ray collection, but this is literally like one of the first Blu-rays I ever bought because I was like, ooh, Earth, the planet Earth in HD. Literally, go outside, dude. That's where it is. No, I can't see the stuff. Anyway, I actually really like Planet Earth. So there you go. And we'll round out the first 6 with Poltergeist. So there you go. Poltergeist is a great film. Obviously, lots of horror and sci-fi in my collection. Anyway, Station. That was the first 6. Now we can move on with the show. Her Diamond straight up shut down their Memphis location. Yeah, I think that's what happened. But it seems like it's all coming back now. We're anticipating our comics from last week tomorrow, and hopefully getting the DC ones to go on sale Tuesday. We'll see. We shall see. We shall see what it will be. Perry probably always gets his comics delivered on time because he's like in Florida, where the 2/3 of the country, if not more, is like in a chunk of ice. It's like the ice age again all of a sudden for a week, and then Perry's just down there, in Florida, sipping mojitos on the beach probably. 70-degree weather. Twitch says, so excited for the Poltergeist homage cover for Stray Dogs. Stray Dogs is soon? Is it this week? I don't know. We'll take a look. I'm still trying. Man, I just had such a week because I had to break up the weekly comic book review. And, I didn't have access to physical comics, so we had to do some twisting and bending and turning. Mary's like, yep, never any issues here. Love it. Love it. Very cool. But this week, very cool stuff coming out, I'm sure. I've looked at some of the list, but we'll talk about that a little bit earlier. But, so, first thing we'll talk about now is, of course, if you did get to read comics last week, what was your favorite? What was your pick of the week? My pick of the week was The Picture of Everything Else #2 from Vault Comics. Well, I should have got my tablet so I could have showed you my digital copy. Anyway, I don't have one to show you, but I freaking love this book. I think that it took what was established in the first issue, elevated it, brought in a lot more like character work, brought the story to I'm loving this tension that's being built up, but it's also saying something about like art and criticism and the relationship between the two and a way of changing reality with art. And if you don't know, The Picture of Everything Else is based on the idea of the picture of Dorian Gray. And the guy who painted the picture of Dorian Gray, for instance, this picture that would never age or something, he is now teaching this dude. So this dude and his friend are like artists in like France, right? And they come across this dude and he like draws pictures of people and then say he can rip it in half. And then the dude just wherever he is just rips in half. Like, and he could burn a painting and a dude just bursts into flames, right? And he's a serial killer. And this one dude is so fascinated with how he can do what he can do. So he becomes his apprentice. He becomes, he wants to learn. He becomes the student. He wants to figure out these techniques. The other one kind of goes off. And then now this is picking up a little bit after the events of the first issue. And now it's like this Faustian bargain, this temptation, this devilish thing, and it's just so freaking good. The artwork is so beautiful and amazing. The coloring is just magnificent and very nuanced. And the lettering by Aditya Bidikar, amazing. It's a Dan Waters book. Kishore Mohan, I think, something like that, is the artist. Fantastic book. That was my pick of the week. I want to know what was your favorite comic book of last week, because even though it was the week in which comic books were really, really like kind of hard to get for a lot of people, there were some really great books. So what was your favorite comic book last week? What did you think about Picture of Everything Else? But most importantly, what was your pick of the week? So I'm curious to know. Let's see here. Perry's chilling in his shorts and sandals. You know it. It was 60 degrees here now. Like today it hit like 60. That's how it is in Alabama. It'll go back and forth, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, Dave's Collection says Last Ronin. I thought Last Ronin #2 was so much better than issue number 1. I freaking loved it. I thought it was amazing. Sad, too. Babel says Last Ronin 2. Tomorrow says Last Ronin 2, but it was a damn good week. Choking myself here. Mike Knight says Black Widow. Really, really like that one. King in Black number 4 says Twitch. King in Black number 4 was dope. I really liked it. Ace, Last Ronin. Lots of Last Ronins. Y'all really like watching turtles die, huh? About crying because of your nostalgic pangs of mournful lamentation. Easy Reader, my LCS didn't get their books either. Yeah, that sucks. Herm, what's up? Herminio says, King in Black, Last Ronin 2, Batman Catwoman, haha. I mean, what a great week. I really liked that second issue of haha. Like, a lot. And Bueller has messaged me, weird stretching like he does. He was like, oh, man, that new issue of Ice Cream Man for this week is interesting. Showing off that he's already read it. Jerk. I'm just kidding. I love Bueller so much. By the way, the monthly show is supposed to be this Thursday night. Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time on Everything Comics. So that's going to be the monthly show. So go ahead and start letting everybody know. Everybody always, some people always like to say that we don't talk about it, but I'm literally telling you guys. It's Thursday, 6 p.m. Central, Everything Comics. That's the idea. It's basically right before the Joe Corallo conversation here on PCP. So it's going to be a double feature stream for Rockin Robbie. Yeah, let's do it. But I'm excited. It's going to be a Bob's channel, though. It should be Thursday. Should be. Tomorrow says, Picture is going to be an amazing read on trade. I have to reread 1 after reading issue 2. Okay, fair enough. Eric says, loving Stillwater. Characters and motivations keep growing. Yeah, and a twist in this issue that, holy cow, I didn't see that coming. Black Widow is great, y'all. Joe Slag says, haha, Thor and King in Black and X-Men Legends. I like that one's a very 90s book. I loved it. Kirby says Last Ronin, King in Black, We Live, Hollow Heart. It was a stacked week. Yeah, I forgot about Hollow Heart almost. Hollow Heart was amazing. Need to track down Shadow Doctor. There was a really good freaking books this week. It was a great week. People at my shop are going to have like double whammy this week. They're going to come in on Wednesday, have 2 weeks of comics. Some people, if they see the bill on 2 weeks of their pull list, sometimes that makes you feel... You know what I'm saying? Twitch says, I really like the Immortal Hulk flatline. It didn't beat out King in Black 4, but the story's really good and the visual storytelling was amazing. Yeah, Declan Shalvey is amazing. Great artist. I want to see more work from him. Angel says, Last Ronin. Hell yeah. Herm says, shit, I forgot about Thor. Manuel says, Minnesota had a heat wave. It hit 30 today. What's up, Kenneth? What's up, AfroX? How you doing? Had a great stream this week with over at Tomorrow Cinema. AfroX was there, and they were talking about anime, and I just kind of crashed it for this last half, but had a good time meeting AfroX. You guys go support his channel. Just released a new video. King in Black has much action, but nothing happens. It's just Null talking to people. Could have just been one big issue. Maybe. At least it's just 5 issues, but... I want to see how it reads collected or all together. But this issue had a lot of revelations. Like there was a lot of like explanation, I guess I should say, and a big revelation. And I think that with what I was saying when it was announced that Venom was ending, like Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman were ending their Venom run, and you remember how I kept telling you, I don't think that this means that they're done with Eddie Brock. I think that's even more true now. Like I am 100% just, that's my thing. I think that they got a new book they're working on together that will be called, no, or something. You know what I'm saying? Undiscovered Country 12, I'm loving the concepts, but I'm not like super engaged with any of the characters for the most part. So that's kind of sad. Aside from that, how do I feel about the new Venom role? I want to see what they do with it. Obviously, There's one issue left of King in Black, so Noel's about to get got. And that's what this next issue is going to be. But I'm sure there's going to be another twist and turn there. Angel, I really liked Hollow Heart. I found that book to be very haunting. And they were able to emote so much atmosphere and emotion just through like very simple line work, I think. I was very impressed with Hollow Heart. Is now a good time to jump back into ASM? Quinn, if you want to read ASM, by all means, just jump back in, sure. But I would just wait until somebody takes over after Spencer. If you're fiending for a new Spider-Man book, there's that nonstop Spider-Man book coming out. So maybe that one will be good. I don't know. Oh, damn, Chamorro, I love the coloring in Flatline. You talking about the Immortal Hulk one? I love the coloring in that. That's like usually how Declan Shelby's artwork is colored. I don't even know if Jordy colored that. Jordy usually colors him. I don't have it. So I can't look just right now. Who was the colorist? Somebody look that up for us. Jamie, are you out there? I really liked the coloring in that book, but that's just me. And thousands of other people, but whatever. I'm not saying you're wrong. King Venom. It might be King Venom. You can't really trust anyone's picks because we all like different stuff. For example, everyone said Superman Worlds of War was no good, but it was very cleverly done, 4 stars. I feel like I'm one of the only people on YouTube likes that book, but I'll be honest, it is not worth $8. I did not like many of those backup stories, but I liked the actual Superman stories. Now this week we got House of L. I'm very excited to check it out. I'm kind of pumped for what Philip Kennedy Johnson is going to do on Superman. It's not going to take too much, to be honest, man, because we had some really good runs that were interrupted by Bendis, and I gave it, it's full. I read it, but man, I do not like the Bendis run on Superman in action, so I'm excited. I think almost anything would be an improvement, I think. But we live in a society. Fascinated with that damn line for some reason. I don't know why. It was like, first of all, it started trending. We are a society where we live in a, like that just cracks me up. And it just, the delivery, man, I'm fascinated with it, y'all. Like when Jared Leto first got announced that he was going to play the Joker, just period, in Suicide Squad, for instance, I was very excited. I was like, I cannot wait to see what he does with this role. And then the first images we saw where he was all tatted up, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to wait and see. And then I never watched it, but I've seen tons of clips of his performance, right? And I don't know, man. I just, I don't know. I can't really speak, completely honestly about it because I haven't watched Suicide Squad. But this was very exciting to me. And I know it's going to be the tiniest little scene, whatever. I'm so pumped. I'm pumped. We live in a society where honor is a distant memory. Isn't that right, Batman? I don't know why that got me going so much, but I really like it. I guess Case was quoted that his run on Venom will be his last work ever on the title. Is he jumping to full-time Spawn? Could Spawn have a reader buzz? Strange times. He's allegedly doing some work on Spawn because he tweeted like the Spawn emblem, and I think he's been announced. Spawn. So as Capullo's been attached to the new Spawn universe stuff that they're doing, the Spawnverse. So they're doing that. But Donny Cates, Frank Quitely, I think Alesh Kott, I heard, is attached to it. But he very specifically said this is 200 is the final issue of me on Venom ever. Because I don't think the book's going to be called Venom going forward. Crossover 4 comes out this week. Yes, it does. Herm says, the Amazing Spider-Man run has been good lately. Most people just sick of waiting for the Kindred story to end. Fair enough. I think I'm the only one who buys Buffy. Yeah, God, I jumped out of it. I felt like they were trying to cram too much of the show's mythology into, like, as little... I feel like they were trying to get to all the character depth and nuance that was developed over 7 years of that show. I think they were trying to get to that too quickly in the show and try to switch it up. It just, I don't know. Maybe I'll sit down and watch or read it again. Try to see. Yeah, Ace, I love the Mortal Kombat trailer. I thought it was dope as hell. Dude, that Sub-Zero Scorpion fight, when he freezes the blood, you gotta be kidding me. Somebody commented on the wrap-up. They're like, you must have watched a different trailer. That trailer sucked. I was like, bruh. Okay. But for me, that trailer blew me away. When we did movie night last night, or the Friday night, we are all talking positively about it. I loved it. I thought it looked great. LMA and Slots, we missed you too. Station. Spawn Universe is going to have a crossover. You know that. We know that. That's coming. Who's the mystery character on crossover this week? I guess they haven't revealed it yet, right? I guess we'll find out soon. Looking forward to Nuclear Family. Yeah, I got an early copy of that, but I haven't read it yet. I need to, because one less comic to read on Tuesday is like a video that gets to you 10 minutes quicker, probably. Robbie, what do you think about Deadpool? When I mentioned him, I got the vibe that you might have kind of hated him. Well, I think, yeah, you got that vibe because it's probably right. I really don't like Deadpool. I haven't seen the movies. As a character, he just gets... There are times where I like Deadpool. Like, I've never really... I mean, okay, the Joe Kelly stuff, the Christopher Priest stuff, I actually enjoyed and thought had a charm about it. But then when that stuff started taking off, when Deadpool really started taking off, he just became this overly simplified version of this character. And to me, it's just usually goofy and off-putting and just ridiculous and very verbose for no reason. And so there you go. But I think Deadpool has been done excellently well in comics, including, in my opinion, the best iteration of Deadpool I've ever read. Very fascinating to me is the Uncanny X-Force run by Rick Remender. I think that his usage of Deadpool was by far some of the best that the character's ever been treated to. But yeah, I don't really like Deadpool. I don't typically like Deadpool, Harley Quinn. I don't typically like these like goofy, slapsticky type characters. Like, I love the New Warriors, but I hate Speedball so much. He's just obnoxious. That's why I liked Pennant so much. But, you know, that's the thing. I don't necessarily believe in bad characters, but there are things that don't appeal to me about Deadpool. I'll say that. But I'm trying to get, over that. This Deadpool Conan team up in recent issues of Savage Avengers has been tolerable. It's been pretty fun. It's been all right, so there you go. Hey, I became a Spawn fan overnight, and I used to hate Spawn. I literally had a memory from like 10 years ago pop up on my Facebook memories the other day, and it was like I was doing one of these stupid things that people used to do, and I think they still do it, where it's like a day of like, you pick this thing and share a picture each day, and there's a theme for each day, and one of them was a picture of something you wish you could forget, and I put up a picture of Spawn, and I shared it, and I was like, well, this didn't age well. So now I'm like, overnight, I just decided, it's a paradigm shift. Hey, it's Teen Dog Shades night, isn't it? So it's a paradigm shift. It's something that you can do. It's something I try to do in life with little things, and eventually try to work up to bigger things. Things that if you want to like change something about your life, the best way to build up, let's just call it willpower to do something like that, or momentum into something like that, is to start changing little things. Oh, I hate Brussels sprouts. Well, one day decide that you love Brussels sprouts. and then approach it as if you do. Like when you cook and make some Brussels sprouts, be like, I love Brussels sprouts, and you're so excited. You can actually literally overnight just become a fan of something, basically. So like Spawn, so that's trivial. And it was an experiment. I was like, what? Overnight. We did this when we did the movie review for Spawn, which is our biggest viewed movie review of all time here at PCP. But I think it's only, apparently, when I look at the analytics, just because most people think that it's the full movie. So they think it's like to watch the movie for free on YouTube, but it's not. So we get some thumbs downs. Anyway, but, you know, Brussels sprouts may be a bad... I thought somebody was behind me. It was fucking Pablo. It's getting worse. Now they got me... They beam into these paranoia beams. I'm just joking. What was I talking about? Oh, just paradigm shift. So, like, overnight, I became a Spawn fan. And I started reading Spawn again from issue number 1. And as if I was a fan. And so what I was doing was I was focusing on what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. So there was, you know, Spawn's not the most amazing comic book of all time. But there are lots of good things about Spawn. Lots of groundbreaking and at the time revolutionary things. And Spawn continues to be, you know, kind of pretty important in the industry. And so I started reading it with the idea that I loved it. And I was paying attention to what I loved about it. And then it literally started happening where I was enjoying immensely every single issue of Spawn. I went and I got online. I bought the original action figure. I still have it on card over there. I backed the Kickstarter, still waiting on that. I got the Mortal Kombat Spawn figure. Like I went full board. I bought Violator, and now I am a Spawn fan. It is something I have literally changed about me that was so ingrained into my personality, especially when it comes to comics and pop culture, that it was such a shock to people in my life that I'm a huge Spawn fan now. But it's literally happened. So maybe one day I'll do something like that to Deadpool. I thought about doing it with ketchup. I've thought about doing it with ketchup. I hate ketchup so much, y'all. But I mean, I've actually done it with other things. But you eventually you can take it bigger and be like, you know, if someone, like for instance, if you don't go to the gym, you know, and you're like, oh, I need to. Just be like, seriously, be like, I'm a gym person. I'm a person that just loves going to the gym. I always go to the gym. Just approach it like that, basically. I don't know. It's a technique, paradigm shift. You can do it. And then you can literally do it too with like belief systems. Like, no kidding. It's whatever. So, let's see. You became a Spawn fan at the perfect time, I got to tell you, because now I got that Spawn Kickstarter coming, and it's going to be very tempting not to sell that. Garlic, salt, and butter for better sprouts. Yo, and saute them. Put them in a frying pan. Cut them in half. But I'll just steam them sometimes. Salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic. I'll eat them without butter. I try to eat as many vegetables as possible without butter. When I was growing up, I was taught to cook with lots and lots of butter, and it's something that I've broken myself of. So I still cook with too much salt though. But Brussels sprouts are good. Man, they're little cabbages. I feel like every time, and I remember doing this when I was a kid. Every time I eat a Brussels sprout, I feel like I'm preventing a gremlin from coming into the world because the gremlin pods look like little Brussels sprouts. Have you ever read I Hate Fairyland? It's one of my favorite comics. Yeah, I really like that. I have all the covers of the alternate title that say Fuck Fairyland. So that's a really cool collection. I'm hoping they eventually do something with it and they become worth money. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, Gwenpool does. Gwenpool, for instance, hindered my enjoyment of the latest issue of MODOK Head Games. Head Games! So... I've never been much of a horror movie fan, and I did this about a year ago. Love me some scary movies now. Mental, emotional, physical pliability is an important trait. Absolutely, Tyler. It's real good stuff. And I'm glad that you did it with horror movies. I hope you join us over at Dylan's Horror Show every Saturday night on Dylan's channel. I'm his co-host. We've done, 6, 7 episodes? Hell yeah. It's a good one. What's your holy grail in your personal collection? Comic-wise, it's my Fantastic Four number 5, first appearance of Doctor Doom. It is by far my most prized possession as far as in the collection, I would say. The next grail is we're working on the Tomb of Dracula number 10, but we're having to put that on hold because remember we had that technical malfunction a few weeks ago and we had to postpone the Boys in the Hood movie review. It exposed some problems with the current PCP machine. So we're going to have to build a new one. I love Joe Bob Briggs' show on Shudder. You know, I haven't watched that yet. His newer one. I used to watch the old school one. 62 says, Incredible Hulk 181. I don't have a 181, but I'll tell you what, if I had a 181, I would sell it for something, for a key Fantastic Four. My goal, I guess, if we could say that it is a goal that's somewhat attainable, is to own every single issue of the Fantastic Four. And I do have some key ones out of the way, but I don't have a 1, 2, 3, or 4. I don't have a 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, or a bunch more. But I do have 46. First Black Bolt. I have 46. I don't have 45 yet. 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, and I believe I have 53 and 54 too. So that's a nice chunk that I have there. That's where that book starts getting freaking really good. Yo. The most I have read from Gwenpool prior to MODOK Head Games was when she dropped off Jeff the Landshark with Deadpool in Kelly Thompson's run. Yeah, I know. I remember reading that part. And she was well written. Gwenpool was well written, in my opinion, in West Coast Avengers. She was not annoying, and I really liked her and Quentin's kind of thing going on. First Blade is out of my league. It's getting too expensive nowadays, I'll tell you that. Just want to get it before it gets stupid again. I mean, it's already up stupid. Jay Nunya says, my holy grail is 52 through 56 of Fantastic Four. Whew. That's good stuff. I think I have all of those. I may be missing one of them, but I do have a 52. Because that was one that I was like, I got to get this. Knowing that I want to get all the Fantastic Four. I was like, I've got to get this before the Black Panther movie comes out. And I should have done that with Blade. I thought I still had time. But the Blade prices have been like on the rise, man. Just a handful of years ago, you could get the first appearance of Blade for way less than what it's worth now in similar condition. And I want the lowest condition possible. But like I said, we're going to have to build a new computer now. And I just started having freaking car problems, but that's another thing. Yeah, Herm's going to be on Tomorrow's Cinema this week, right? Or next week? Is it March something? That's funny, Epoch. All right, let's take a look at what's coming up in comic shops this week, because there's some good releases. Let's start with DC Comics, because I don't have a DC sneak peek tonight, but DC, we got Batman Black and White number 3, a very impressive book so far. We have Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn number 5. Then we got a bunch of Future State books wrapping up. It's the final week of Future State, isn't it? Isn't it? It's week 4, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. Future State Aquaman number 2. Future State Batman Superman number 2. Future State Dark Detective number 4. Future State Legion of Superheroes number 2. Future State Suicide Squad number 2. Future State Superman vs. Imperious Lex number 2. Future State Superman House of L number 2. And Generations Formed. Plus, the next Batman Second Son starts digitally this Tuesday from Image Comics. Ooh, the Complete Darkness trade paperback releases. That's dope. We got Crossover number 4. We got Department of Truth number 6. Be aware, Department of Truth has a guest artist on, so there you go. Plus, Department of Truth has its first trade paperback out. Ice Cream Man number 23 is this week. Monstrous 32. Nailbiter Returns number 10. Nomen Omen number 12. November Volume 4 original hardcover graphic novel. Oblivion Song number 30, Post Americana number 3, Rain Like Hammers number 2, Savage Dragon 257, Spawn 315, Scumbag number 5, Stray Dogs number 1, Two Moons number 1, lots of stuff from Image, holy cow. And Walking Dead Deluxe, some reprints, it looks like, yeah. Really cool covers, though. From Dark Horse, we have Crimson Flower number 2, Skull Digger and Skeleton Boy number 6, that's from the World of Black Hammer. Tales from the Umbrella Academy, You Look Like Death number, I can't see the number, I think it's 6. It's the final issue, I believe. From IDW, we have a nice From Hell Master Edition hardcover. Wow, I didn't know that was coming. Sonic the Hedgehog number 37. Usagi Yojimbo Wanderer's Road number 4. From Marvel Comics, we got Amazing Spider-Man number 60. Black Cat number 3. Black Panther 23. Captain Marvel 26. Captain Marvel Snapshots number 1. It's a one-shot. We got King of Black Namor number 4, the penultimate issue. King in Black Planet of the Symbiotes number 1. Haven't we already gotten that? No, I don't. Haven't we? Maybe that's a reprint. King in Black Return of Valkyries number 3. Maestro Warren Pax number 2. Magnificent Miss Marvel number 18. Marvel Voices Legacy number 1. It's a big comic book week, y'all. New Mutants number 16. It's a big comic week, y'all. Symbiote Spider-Man King in Black number 4. The Union number 3. U.S. Agent number 3. Warhammer 40k Marnius Calgar number 5. Wolverine number 10. X-Men number 18. Y'all, this is going to be a big-ass week. From Dynamite, we got Betty Page number 5. Red Sonja 24. Vampirilla Seduction of the Innocent number 1. I think that's the first volume of the Christopher Priest run, I think. Vengeance of Vampirilla number 15. From Boom Studios, we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer Faith number 1. Firefly 26. Something is Killing the Children 15. Firefly 26. I said that already, Robbie. All right, from other companies. That's a lot of comics out this week. We got Black of Heart number 4, Bloodshot number 11, Brooklyn Gladiator number 4, By the Horns number 1, Chasing the Dragon number 1, Dead End Kids Suburban Job number 2, Eighth Immortal number 2, Fish Kill number 4. Can't read what that says. Oh, Frank at Home on the Farm number 2, I Breathed a Body number 2. I've read that one. It's dope. Kaiju Score number 4, Unsacred number 4, Nuclear Family number 1, Sympathy for No Devils number 5, Tarna number 3, Villainous number 5, Year Zero Volume 2 number 4. Lots of comics this week. Big week. Damn, Image and Marvel, yo. Like, slow down. Slow your roll, Marvel and Image. What's wrong? Why are you trying to get everything out in the last week of February? Jesus. God. All right. Wish I got them early. All right. In the next segment, we're going to be talking about a movie called Frozen. It's by Adam Green. We're going to be doing a critical incision on WandaVision. And we'll be talking about a documentary I watched called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And don't worry, we're about to start getting very teen dog shadesy. But until then, we'll be right back. We're taking a quick break. Be right back for part 2. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Rockin Robbie Live here on Pop Culture Philosophers. I am your host, Rockin Robbie Billups, and I want to say thank you so much for being here tonight. Join the PCP Army, the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, you might as well follow Pop Culture Philosophers there. We're also on Instagram. You can follow me personally on Twitter at the Rockin Robbie. You can support us with a super chat here or at patreon.com/PCP, like these fine people right here. And what does that get you for any level of support? Well, it gets you access to the little newsletter that I do every Tuesday when I release the downloadable audio-only version of the weekly comic book review, and it's usually done about an hour to 2 to 3 hours before the video actually drops. So first access, through Audible means, first access to the weekly comic book review for any level of support at Patreon. And our patrons are right here. We really do appreciate your support. Thank you so much for keeping the dream and the hope alive. Tonight, we've been talking about comic books. We were talking about the best comic books of last week. We were talking about what's coming up this week, and it was very, very exciting, but we're about to start talking about some other things. In this segment, I'm going to be giving a movie review of a movie I watched this morning, because I got my Sunday tradition. I get my bowl, a bowl of cereal. Right? Yeah. And I just watched a movie before I do anything else. Today, it was Frozen by Adam Green in preparation for the Adam Green episode of Dylan's Horror Show coming up this Saturday night. That's right. Don't forget to check out Dylan's Horror Show. Dylan's Comics is one of the best YouTube channels out there. Me and him have got a great killer show every Saturday night. This upcoming week, we're talking about Adam Green's legacy. You should definitely check out the previous episodes if you haven't already. Friday nights, PCP Movie Night, 9 p.m. Central Time. Join us for a live discussion about Meteor Man. Very excited for that. But before that, Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time, join us here for a live discussion with writer and editor Joe Corallo. He's got some new comics coming out. We're talking about that. We're going to be talking about the comic book industry, all that jazz and more. And 2 hours before that at 6 p.m. Central Time, join us over at Everything Comics for the live monthly comic book review. It's our monthly panel, me, Bueller, Bob, and Dylan. So there you go. Also in this segment, we have a critical incision on WandaVision. I'll be talking about Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And I guarantee you, once we start that, we're going full board. You know what I'm saying? Full board. Full board. So what are you guys doing? What do you want to talk about? Somebody asked favorite Metallica songs. I can't probably come up with a top 10 off the top of my head. But the first one that pops in my head, Four Horsemen? That's the name of the song, right? When the Four Horsemen ride. And it's got that galloping, I really like that one. That's the first one that pops up in my head right there. But I'm one of those dudes, too, that actually thinks Load and Reload are pretty good. I know a lot of people don't, but this is me. This is the spiel he gave when he was muted. Yeah, pretty much. I'm very excited. I think it really fucked up the whole pacing of that first segment for me, man. It really did, y'all. But it's okay. We're on board now. We're going. They were trying to stop us from having a Teen Dog Shades night. Mm-hmm. You see, they thought that they had won because we hadn't done a Teen Dog Shades night in 2021. We haven't done one. And they thought they had won. But in fact, they haven't. 100%. Hey, Guy LeMay's here. He says, Ride the Lightning. Guy LeMay, by the way, check out his YouTube channel. He did a song called Galactus. The song is dope. Dope as hell. The video is cool. And in the video, guess what he's wearing? He's rocking a PCP shirt. Oh, my goodness. And he's rocking one of the ones with the new logo. Super, super cool. Hey, we got Stoked Arts in the house. What's up, my man? That's my man, Kevin. How are you doing, brother? He says Fade to Black. What is the Teen Dog Shades night? It doesn't really know. So let's see. Hey, what's up? 90MF Comics is here. How you doing, Chad? PCP is 90. YouTube is 90, bruh. And PCP is 90 right now. 100%. Nice seeing you, homie. A Teen Dog Shades night is a night in which I wear the official Teen Dog shades. Officially. These are shades that I got as a promo for Boom Studios' book, Teen Dog. Teen Dog is an excellent comic book. And one day I put on these shades. And I started talking about metaphysical stuff. And we just, that live show. And I want to hunt down the first unofficial Teen Dog Shades night, because we didn't know what we were building. But we started talking about stuff. I think we were talking about Alan Moore and Grant Morrison. We were talking about magic and sigils. And we're going to be talking about all that stuff again tonight. We're throwing it back old school. Tonight, we're going to be talking about sigils, y'all, fully. So I put on the shades for just to be a goof. I do that. You do enough of these live streams, you're like, I got to do something different. I'm going to wear double horns. Oh, I'm going to wear these shades. I'm going to do this, whatever, right? And so I put on the shades, and we started talking about that stuff. I was like, that's really appropriate. Because in the book, which is a very cool book, really fun, cutesy book that's kind of made for all ages, but it's about this high school, and there just happens to be dogs as humanoid dogs, and there's this one called Teen Dog. He loves pizza. He wears the shades, and these are the official Teen Dog shades. So it's a great comic book that they did the 8 issues, and that was the run. But at random times, like there's this one moment where one of the kids touches him, and all of a sudden she just sees like the cosmos and like all this beautiful psychedelic stuff, and she's like, whoa. And he's like, yeah, that happens sometimes. So I was like, how appropriate. So then we started saying, every once in a while, I'll put on the official Teen Dog shades. Remember, the official ones are the blue ones. Whenever you see me wearing the red ones, that just means I'm in danger of being a jackass that night. That's the straight to ale. That's the beer company here. Anyway, there you go. It's good to see 90 in the house, and Guy and Fable and everybody else, Trade Paper Dad, but that's what a Teen Dog Shades night is. So whenever I wear these shades, we're more than likely the show is going to either from whatever perspective devolve or evolve into talk about aliens, UFOs, government conspiracies, ancient civilizations. We've done a whole thing we did a whole night about Atlantis one time. That kind of jazz. Sometimes, esoteric philosophy and the occult. So there you go. Yeah, you commit to the bit. That's what you do. Speaking of Grant Morrison, I tried to watch the video you posted, but I cannot understand Scottish accents very well. Just pretend he's Sean Connery or Uncle Scrooge. You'll get it. The thing with accents like that, and he does have a thick Scottish accent, obviously, but I can understand it now. Just seriously, I think he even says it. He's like, if you find it hard to understand what I'm saying, just think of Sean Connery talking to you. Cheap shades are always the best. Yeah, free even. Hey, we got a super chat from Kirk. Kirk says, hell yeah, Teen Dog Shades Origins. By the way, we need an official PCP meetup in 2021 or 2022. Well, how about this? I'm going to go see The Weeknd in 2022 in Nashville. We can all meet up there. Come to the Weeknd show. Anyway, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey. Let me tell you about this little man I know. His name is Hellboy. He likes drinking Dos Equis in the afternoon when he's had a bad day. So he walks around and says, how are you doing, Joker? Man, you look like you are crazy, and I cannot understand why we gotta go in the morning. Don't you know that Thanos is coming? He's throwing rocks at you. Hellboy, you don't even understand what's going on. Thanos is throwing rocks at Hellboy 'cause he's drunk. And now let me tell you something about Hellboy. his favorite musical artist is Station. There you go. What are the origins of the Hellboy song? Oh, man. 90 says Ancient Aliens is 90. Station. You know, there's a point. Okay. I both love and hate Ancient Aliens, like the show. I love a lot of the theory, and I do believe, I honestly believe that, well, I don't believe anything, but there's thoughts and opinions that run through my head sometimes, and the idea that maybe if a spacecraft has been uncovered by a government, like say the U.S. government, maybe it wasn't necessarily something that just happened, a crash that just happened. What if it was like a dig, like an archaeological site? Like we're talking about some thing bullshit, you know, where it's like this ancient kind of thing where it landed a long time ago. Now I'm down with a lot of ancient alien types ideas, and it's really a fascinating show to see, right? But they accredit so much human achievement to aliens directly that I find it to be counterproductive for what I believe to be the true purpose of contact, which is evolution, right? So I like it. I have a love-hate relationship with it. Let's just say that I really enjoy it, but like most conspiracy theories, like most of these pseudoscientific ideas, science is pseudoscience. We don't know anything yet, right? We're still learning, man. When we learned about the quantum reality, we learned that we don't know really anything about the nature of reality. There's all just guesses and intuition and, you know, things like that. So, you know, that goes on. I don't know. But I think that I don't like the idea of saying that all of the leaps in humanity that we've done, all the evolution, all the achievements is the direct result of something. Like I don't like that. Like how you're in danger if you delve too far into conspiracy theories. So basically you're just blaming problems on a certain thing to make it make more sense and less chaotic. And one thing I've learned in my experience is to embrace chaos, you know? So, you know, that's kind of what's going on there, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to, weekend in Nashville. Guy says I need to sing the Hellboy song. Bruh, that would be such a great thing. You should. And yeah, I want to share that video one time for your Galactus video here on a break. So we got to hook that up, brother. So hell yeah. Hellboy doesn't always drink beer, but when he does, he gets sloshed and then Thanos throws rocks at him. That was good. I feel like I haven't heard Robbie croon Hellboy for a hot minute. No, you haven't. Robbie, I know you don't play modern video games, but you should check out a playthrough of the game Oxenfree. I'll write it down, but I'll make no promises. Oxenfree. I'll check it out. Somebody had a comment about Morrison. What was it? Morrison, Epoch says, Morrison has gone in depth at how his comic art would come back to affect him physically, like a sigil that backfired him. Yes, the whole point of the Invisibles comic is what he called a hyper sigil. So we'll be talking about sigils a little bit later on. I should have just went right into the pop culture stuff. I knew this was going to happen. But the idea of the sigil is basically making an artistic representation of an intention that you have and somehow casting it into your subconscious, therefore maybe into the universe, through the collective unconsciousness, and then manifest what you will into reality, right? That's what a sigil is. And they're literally the building blocks of magic with a K, if you want to call it that. But you can call it many things, right? So a hyper sigil is an ongoing project. And so he literally, for instance, wrote himself into the comic book. Grant Morrison in The Invisibles is the character of King Mob. King Mob looks like Morrison, and whatever Morrison had King Mob do, he would do. So if Morrison wrote in the script, that King Mob is tripping peyote on the messes out there in the Southwest. He went and did that. He went and did all these things because he made a lot of money when Arkham Asylum came out, the graphic novel. He had a really good deal with DC where he got $1 for each copy sold, and the first week they sold 100,000 copies. So he had money all of a sudden. He took some time off, and he went and explored the world, and he had some really spiritual experiences, and one in which he was kind of abducted by aliens. It's kind of that experience, but he thinks that nowadays a lot of people that have this, they kind of eventually come to think that they're having like a concrete experience, and then they start later on, like years and years down the road, I think it becomes they think it's more of an internal thing, but he was in communication with these beings that were outside of time space, and they explained to him the nature of reality and told him that he needed to go back and explain this in your work. So he made the Invisibles. And he wrote himself as the character of King Mob in the Invisibles, and he mimicked the character's actions and vice versa. He had the character model him. And then in the book, when the character was, by the way, Matrix is based on the Invisibles. And so there's a scene earlier on in the first act of the entirety, if you look at the entirety of the Invisibles as one story, at some point in the first act, which would be Matrix 1, right? King Mob gets kidnapped and tortured. And at this moment, as this was happening, Morrison got some kind of weird bacterial infection and wound up in the hospital and almost died. Then he had this vision of Christ or whatever. He wrote it in the comic book. He wrote the character healing and getting better. He miraculously healed and got better. And then from that point forward, King Mob does nothing but have sex and just win. If you pay attention, that's all that happens to King Mob. But that's reflected in the Matrix when they get Morpheus. Morpheus is the King Mob character in the Matrix. So basically, think about this. Morpheus, who is to me the coolest character in the Matrix, the best, is actually based on a character that is actually Grant Morrison injecting himself into a comic. And this was an idea that he was working with before. He first injected himself in comics, I think, in Animal Man. Remember that? Animal Man realized he was living in a comic. And this is something that Morrison's always been dealing with, that fiction creates a reality. So that's cool. Robbie, I couldn't think of it at first, but one of the comics I want to read more of is Shade the Changing Man. Have you ever heard of it? Yeah. Read the Pete Milligan stuff. If you want to get the old school Steve Ditko stuff, hell yeah. But the Pete Milligan stuff's cool, and that's a Teen Dog Shades appropriate book too. The Pete Milligan Vertigo stuff from the 90s is really good. Hey, Mike's in the house. What's up, Mike? Yeah, Department of Truth, either TV show or movie, they optioned it for both, so they could do whatever they wanted to with it at this point, but it seems like a really cool idea. We'll see what happens. I'd be worried that they would X-Files it up, and I love X-Files, but that's not one of the beauties about that book, one of the beauties about that book is that it's got this dark grit and edge to it that makes it so unlike anything you would ever get on TV or in the film, or in cinema, I should say. But how they can interpret that tone, I don't know, because I just feel like it would wind up becoming like an X-Files type thing, and it's basically just the concept they want. So we'll see. But Mike's in the house. Station. Mike made some ribs for the PCP crew, the excitable we are. And he brought them over yesterday, gave them to me. I ate them today, or ate half of them. There's a lot of them. And delicious, Mike. Delicious. Well done, sir. Well done. The government is the one running the abductions. Some of them, I believe, or I think, 100%, some of them. All right, let's just go ahead and get into the pop culture stuff so we can... I feel like it's about to break open now. It's about to break open. By the way, for those that are not here at the very beginning, there was no audio for the first few minutes of the stream, and on my mic, and for some reason, some setting just randomly flipped again. Team Dog, Anyway, this morning for my Sunday morning movie, and we're gonna make this a new thing here because I did it with Stuck, so we're gonna do it here. So every Sunday morning, I wake up, and before I do anything, because Sunday's a busy day. You know, I do run errands, I grocery shop, I do laundry, I prepare this show, I perform this show, I try to get some movie and TV time, some reading time in. I usually read the DC books on Sunday. And so before I do anything, I just watch a movie. Stay in bed with my cat, have a bowl of cereal, and watch a movie. And today's movie was Frozen by Adam Green. Written and directed. Adam Green is the subject of Dylan's horror show this Saturday. So it stars Shawn Ashmore, Emma Bell, and Kevin, is that Zegers? It's really freaking good. It all takes place on a ski lift. This came out in 2010. I know a lot of you probably have seen this. This was my first time watching it. But it's about this dude and his girlfriend and his best friend going to a ski resort and just skiing, snowboarding stuff, right? And so you get this, like, first of all, interesting character dynamics and all that kind of stuff. And they don't pay for tickets to the ski lift. They just kind of sneak in there. They, like, bribe the dude. And then through just, like, some twists of fate, they wind up getting left on the ski lift, and they think they're gone. And so then they shut everything down, and they close for the week because a storm's coming in. So now they're stuck at the top of this ski lift alone, and this resort's closed for, like, the entire week. Well, let's just say, because it's incredibly cold and this giant storm's coming, some crazy things happen. Let's just say, without spoiling too much, one of them decides, I can jump for it. Well, that doesn't work out too well. And then there are frickin' wolves, okay? There are frickin' wolves. This movie gets so intense. It's kind of like open water on a ski lift, but it is so frickin' crazy. It gets intense. It is frickin' suspenseful. It is brutal. It is, wow. I really frickin' liked Frozen. And I've seen a lot of these Adam Green films now, and I'm watching Holliston right now. And a lot of Adam Green stuff has got this slight edge of humor. Like, I've watched all 4 Hatchets now, and he's got humor. There's like a little bit of humor in the dialogue with the people, but, like, he's using that to build up these relationships and make these characters feel real, so that when they're in this crazy situation, I mean, dude, just, you know, like, at first you're like, oh, you're stuck on, just wait it out. No, man, you can't, because, like, you're going to be there for, like, days, literal days, and, like, you're, like, sub-freezing temperatures, and you're exposed, and, dude, it just winds up being so freaking wild and crazy. And if you got a weak stomach, it's definitely not a movie for you, but I loved it. I love how serious this movie gets. It gets very brutal. It is freaking messed up. But y'all, if you haven't watched it, check out Frozen. I watched it on Hulu, so you can watch it if you have Hulu. And most of you, if you do have Disney Plus so you can watch WandaVision, you should definitely get the package so that you can have Hulu and watch Frozen. So there you go. Frozen's good. If you've watched Frozen, let me know, and let me know what you thought about it. Dave's Collection says that movie was crazy. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Kirk says Frozen with Iceman in it. That's too good. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that Disney's like, oh, there's already a movie called Frozen? Who cares? They do that. This has happened to Adam Green. Another movie of his I have yet to watch is called Spiral. That's the new Saw movie. Thoughts on Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol? It's best run of Doom Patrol ever. Love it. If you like the show, you should definitely read that book, because that's where a lot of that comes from. And I think the comic is, I haven't watched the show, but the comic is a precursor to some of Grant's work on like Invisibles and such. Oh yeah, I know all about Operation Paperclip. Half of everything here in my hometown is named after Werner von Braun. Because we're the home of some of NASA, Marshall Space Center or whatever. I didn't understand. I breathed the body. I'm dumb. John, you're not dumb. You just didn't get it. I understand. I didn't get it either. I had the luxury of reading 1 and 2. And I knew when I recommended number 1 as my pick of the week that was going to be kind of lost on a lot of people. But 2 really, you understand where the story's going. But the basic premise is, it's just very simple. There's a lot of concepts and ideas around it. But the basic premise is that it's about the biggest social media influencer out there killing himself on camera, and how the corporate company that's backing him and profiting off of him, how they handle the situation. That's the easy pitch. But it's got a lot of weird Clive Barker type shit involved too. And fungal horror. Brian says, I just watched Cold Skin. It was like a backwards Shape of Water. When you say that, and then I think of the name of that movie, that's crazy. Herm says, I'm definitely watching Frozen. It was good, dude. It's intense, man. I loved it. You're like, how can they film a whole movie of just 3 people stuck on a ski lift? It works. Did Spiral come out? No. The one from the Saw one? No, that one hasn't come out yet. Epoch says, check out Werner von Braun's epitaph. Oh, you're talking about his deathbed confession to his assistant, which apparently lays out the plans for all the false flag events that are going to lead into dominance over the world for the U.S. government. Is that what you're talking about? How it was going to be communism, terrorism, and then aliens. I didn't know the name of it when I was watching it until you described it. Those wolves smell the blood. OMG. Oh my goodness. The wolf scenes are really freaking vicious, man. That was effed up what they did to Olaf. Oh no, his gravestone says nothing but Psalms 19:1. Okay, I went way deeper than you were intending then. I'm sorry. Psalms 19:1. I know the Bible, but not enough just to recall that one. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice is not heard. That's the NIV interpretation. Why does Google go directly to NIV? I prefer King James, but that's just me. I prefer the original Hebrew. Yeah, the Disclosure Project. Stokes, you're the one that got me into the Disclosure Project, which introduced me to Dr. Stephen Greer. It is Greer, right? Yeah. And we're going to be talking about him a lot here coming up. All right, y'all, real quick. Yeah, I'm familiar with the verse now. Robbie, are you stoned? That's my secret cap. Next up, we are about... I hope there's no singing in this Frozen movie or I'm not going to watch it. No, not that one. Not that one. But it's on Hulu, Frozen from 2010, written and directed by Adam Green. It's really freaking good. All right, spoilers are about to come up for WandaVision because it's been a couple weeks and a lot of stuff has happened. A lot of stuff has happened since we've done one of these. So everybody, there will be for the next 5 to 10 minutes spoilers for WandaVision. Just so you know, drop out if you don't want it spoiled. And now it's time for a critical incision on WandaVision. So lots of stuff has happened on WandaVision. And like I said, spoilers if you're just joining us. But I'll just start out by saying this. Called it. You know it. But it was an easy call. Agnes is Agatha Harkness. There you go. She was revealed as the villain in this one. And since we've last chatted, really, I mean, we've chatted in other streams, but here on Rockin Robbie Live, Quicksilver, you know, the Evan Peters, the Fox, you know, we were talking about that before. We knew that was coming, you know, and Twitch usually kind of lays out some stuff for us. But I am loving WandaVision. I really like the experimental approach they're doing, showing us the evolution of the sitcom, as well as developing this really weird, cool, quirky story that got really real, and it has an MCU quality to it. It feels very MCU in parts, but it feels very different in other parts, right? So I really, really love how they're doing that, because a lot of the MCU properties kind of just feel cookie cutter. Like they're just making the same formulaic movie. WandaVision breaks that mold. So I really, really freaking like that one. I am loving Vision's questioning of what's going on, right? I am loving Wanda's breaking, right? And I remember I said, Wanda's not the one that started this. I think Agatha. Now, we've been throwing out the Mephisto stuff, Nightmare stuff. All the Mephisto and Nightmare stuff really comes from the idea that Nightmare is in, apparently, Doctor Strange. And we know that Wanda is in Doctor Strange. So people are making this connection. Maybe they're just fucking with us, right? So maybe that's not true at all. And then we've got the idea of Mephisto, because Wanda, when she was creating her children in the comic book series, she used bits of like Mephisto's soul or whatever, and it was all this ploy to have these soulless vessels that they could like possess or something like that. And I told you that Agatha Harkness was, in the Marvel universe that I know, the most of the stuff I've read, she's kind of painted as a heroic character. I first was introduced to her in my reading as a kid because she was Franklin's nanny. But then you find out that she's one of the people that, she's a surviving witch from the Salem witch trials. Agatha in the show has been making all these references to being a witch. Like when she first meets Vision, I think she says charmed, or when she first meets Wanda. And we just knew something was up with her, right? And there's all these little hints and stuff. And plus Agatha Harkness, Agnes, right? Pretty easy, right? So she's been revealed as going the villain. And I said that at times she's painted as a villainous figure, but mostly as a heroic. But Marvel Studios, they can go either way, because this is a very lesser known character for a lot of people. And they basically have laid out that she is the villain. But maybe there is something more, because, in Hollywood, whenever you talk about witches, you usually talk about devil worship, and one of the main devils in the Marvel universe is Mephisto. So maybe that's still on its way. What is the mystery of Pietro? Who knows? That's obviously not really Pietro, and I don't think it's Peter Maximoff pulled from the Fox movie. We can think of a multiversal thing here, but I don't think that's what's going on. I think it's something different. I think that the idea that she's in Doctor Strange may even be a mislead to make us reinterpret it in that way. Or, more likely, she's actually just in Doctor Strange because after the events of WandaVision, who is going to be there to help train Wanda in the abilities of her powers, because they are unlocking Wanda's full-on powers. You know what I'm saying? 100%. So, in the movies, Wanda's only had displayed telekinesis and mind control, but now she's really causing reality warps. But Agatha said, I did it all along, but Wanda has these powers too. I don't think it's all Agatha. I think she's helping develop Wanda. Tomorrow says, could Agatha just be a character Wanda subconsciously made for Agnes to avoid the real blah, blah, blah realization that she's the villain? No, I don't think so. I think that Wanda's being manipulated by Agatha for some end result involving the children. Agnes has been luring and saying things to lead her into the idea of killing the children and or creating these children. And I think it may be to resurrect these demonic entities like Mephisto or Nightmare or something like that. Who knows, right? So it could be related to something like that, or it could just be as simple as Agnes, but I think it's beyond that. I think there's a coven of witches that are in this area, and I think Dottie's one of them. And there's been a lot of references right now to the idea that Dottie's husband's name or whatever is, what's her name? Arcana's name from Suicide Squad, or not Suicide Squad, but Squadron Supreme. She's kind of the Squadron Supreme version of Zatanna. So a lot of people are making the connection that it's her. I think it's Arcana Jones, and I think that she says her husband's name is Phil Jones. So there's that. There could be more than just Agatha there. But there is obviously some kind of an ulterior motive. There is a reason Agatha wanted to create this place, to do this to Wanda. And I think the reason is to encourage her to create these children. And she wanted these children to grow. And I think that's why she even killed the dog. By the way, talking about the sitcom tributes, I love the moment at the reveal when they go into the Total Monsters song. it was great. But then she's like, and I even killed the dog too. So, and another witch reference to Wizard of Oz, where the witch wanted to, I'll get you and your little dog too, all that kind of jazz. So it's all up in there. It's there. I'm loving this show. I think it's great. I love the performances. In the latest episode, I love the Modern Family office type vibe. My favorite moments when the Vision's like, why am I here talking to you? When he's realizing that he's even getting caught up in the spell, I love the humor of it. I love the seriousness of it. And that's something that MCU can do and do pretty well, is balance things like that. And I think it works pretty freaking well. What is the mystery of Quicksilver? He could just be a dude. He could be in on it. He could be the goose. What's up with the goose that just pops in and out? What's up with all these, where did the dog come from? And why did she kill the dog? Maybe just to help these kids, when they're dealing with the grief. I think she's encouraging them to try to speed grow. She wants these kids developed for some reason. And need I say this more? These are the first official mutants in the MCU, because I'll just say this, and maybe there's something else coming, but they are the first ones that were born with their powers. Right? So they're officially mutants, technically, right? So there you go. So who knows what the end result is. I think they're going to get into the mystery. I think the next episode is going to be all about Agatha Harkness, her story. And then we're going to get the big finale, Swords Assault, Monica helping Wanda and Vision defeat Agnes and whatever the revelations that come in the next episode. And I'm loving it. And since we missed the last ones, I love Evan Peters in this show. I think he's a great version of Quicksilver, even though he may not be the real Quicksilver. But I would love it if it is like him pulled from another reality or something and he sticks around. That would be freaking neat and cool. So I really liked the 80s vibe. I really liked the 90s vibe, and I'm loving it. So I think that WandaVision is one of the better products from the MCU in a while, and I really think they do some strong products. But that is our critical incision on WandaVision. Let me tell you about this little man I know. His name is Venom. Crawling up the side of the screen right there above Mr. Thanos, throwing rocks at Hellboy. Thank you for the super chat, LMA and Slots. He says, maybe I can be on your show one day and I can show you all of my toys. It certainly would be a filler episode. Possibly. We really do appreciate the support. I'd bet my house that the people who gave Monica the space rover are all Skrulls. May that be interesting. Oh, also, yeah, the development of Monica's powers. That was a really cool thing. Hey, Robbie, love the show. I just got the Marvel Unlimited app. Any good comic runs you recommend? Yeah, from Marvel, Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run is fantastic. Some really great stuff out there. What characters do you like? Ed Brubaker's Captain America run. That's a great one. Mark Waid's Captain America run from the 90s. I don't know what's all on there. If Marvels is on there by Kurt Busiek, check that out. If Untold Tales of Spider-Man's on there, check that out. What else? The actress that plays Agnes is awesome. I freaking love that lady. Yeah. They should have done a Cop Rock episode. You're right. And Billy, I love your seriousness too. Ever since Community did that parody episode of the Office-style documentary comedies, I've never been able to see those sitcoms the same way. WandaVision did a good parody too. I wanted to see Darcy in her Two Broke Girls outfit. I bet you did. Yeah, I've never read Doomsday Clock either. What's a Doomsday Clock? What's a Doomsday Clock? All right, I watched a new documentary, or I guess it came out last year. I watched a documentary this week called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And it's Dr. Stephen Greer. He was the one behind Unacknowledged, involved in the Disclosure Project. So it involves him, and this is an interesting documentary. It's on Amazon Prime. The basic premise is this, that the government is trying to create this false narrative of the aliens being a threat, because in fact it's peaceful contact that can be achieved, but they want to put the narrative in such a way that we fear aliens, and so it justifies more military spending and control, right? But he's teaching that contact has already begun through meditation. So he has these things called the CE5 protocols, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, direct human contact with alien life. And he achieves it through basically through meditation, through intention, and other things. But they have documented, apparently, allegedly, lots of sightings. So they get these people together. They do these guided meditations. They get into these trance states. They get into these zones. And then all of a sudden they capture footage or see experiences. And some of the experiences in the footage is pretty captivating and pretty engaging. There's a light being that they claim to have caught, and that's actually a pretty chilling freaking image, or whatever, but it's called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. It's on Amazon Prime right now. I really liked it. The first third of the movie is setting up the idea that the reason for disclosure, the reason why the government is now starting to admit that the aliens and UFO contacts and all that kind of stuff that's real, right? That it's a real phenomena out there. They're starting to admit this to get a handle on the situation, but they want to paint the narrative that they're a threat and therefore justify, more spending. And, a lot of conspiracy theorists can lead this into the idea of the one world order, Space Force. Ronald Reagan said it in his UN address, and he's like, maybe if there was an alien invasion, we could all work together and be one people, and a lot of people are fearful of that kind of a globalization or whatever. But a lot of people that are into Star Trek think that's that's an idea that people have. So almost like they're using the real alien phenomena, the real UFO phenomena as an excuse to now justify this aggressive stance and domination over our local space, right? And that's the first third of the film. Then the second third of the film is trying to show you the importance and validity of consciousness and consciousness having effects on reality. And so they document all these experiments, and some of them are labeled as pseudoscience, and you can dig into things a little bit further online. A lot of this is claimed to be disproven and this and that, right? So there you go. But I personally do believe in the idea of intention affecting reality, right? Literally we were talking about sigils a little bit ago. So there you go. And Chaos is in the house, and he says, I love you all in whatever the weirdest sexual way makes you uncomfortable. Nice. So, so it's basically it's stressing the importance of what meditation and the idea of one mind, collective unconscious, I would call it, but the idea that we could possibly alter reality with just our minds, our consciousness, and maybe even come into contact with ancient beings. And I find it to be an interesting theory because, like we were talking about earlier, people like Grant Morrison, people like Philip K. Dick, Robert Anton Wilson, they had these experiences, alleged telepathic maybe communication with advanced civilizations or alien life or some kind of intelligence that's otherworldly. And now we're having the government start being a little bit more real about the alien idea, but painting it as a threat every time they can. And you remember when I told you, when I saw Tom DeLonge on the Rogan podcast and he was laying out all this stuff that was going to happen, I felt like he was just full of shit. But then all this stuff he said was true, that these people had contacted him to lead up, this, to the Stars Academy or whatever, and reveal this information that's been declassified by the Navy, by the Pentagon, and this and that, right? And then I just had this feeling, though, that something was off about him. And this documentary is saying in the beginning that he's part of this idea of painting it as a threat. Oh, we got advanced technology. We got to come together, And we were talking about When I wear my sunglasses, do I bump into things? No, not usually. When I wear my Lokes, I do, but those are way too dark. But the idea is that they're trying to paint it as a threat to somehow unite the world into one government, or to, that's the ultimate goal. And you can look at our own government. Manifest Destiny is still a real thing, and they do want to kind of take it over. The Cold War ended, but only to a certain extent. It just kind of expanded out to the entire world, and I don't think it's ever really changed. So I don't really trust the government. Here's the other thing: is there's these documentaries that reveal and talk, and this one also says this, is that a lot of things are falsified by the government initially in order to make the alien UFO culture seem less credible. And they're kind of sowing disinformation to like lead away from the truth, but now they've embraced it. And why would they embrace it? But it's like now they're going into this idea of painting the alien threat. And they're saying that through meditation, achieving certain states, you can come in contact with these entities, and allegedly they say that they can call them and they make them appear. And then the last third of the movie is talking about that and talking about their experiences. They even have this one dude, they claim he had hearing problems and was healed, and they got this picture of this figure behind him or something. But it's very similar to me, as we've talked about on the stream before. I am really into kind of the idea that a lot of alien experiences and seeing strange lights and seeing weird things and entities, they can be related to other spiritual things, right? Like things that demonic visions, angels, God forms, thought forms, Blessed Virgin Mary's things. Whatever your paradigm is, was what they will reveal themselves to you as, right? There's this recently came across, because of the Rogan podcast, this story about 1994 in Zimbabwe. This entire school of children witnessed a craft landing, and these beings coming out and sending them telepathic messages that our technology was going to take us on a dark path, and having their lives very profoundly impacted and changed because of that. And a lot of people that are part of this Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, the CE5 protocols, they call it, a lot of these people claim like spiritual evolution. And it is so similar to me in the idea, which if you talk about Robert Anton Wilson, he understood the validity of the idea of extraterrestrials, but just like John A. Peel in his book Operation Trojan Horse, or some of the Jacques Vallée stuff that comes out, is the idea that they're ultra-dimensional. And they even mention that in this, that they travel through dimensions and they phase in and out. And that's something that's straight up in Operation Trojan Horse, where when you look at all these experiences together, whether it's contact or sightings of whether aliens and UFOs or even ghosts and spiritual ideas like seeing Jesus or the Blessed Virgin Mary, a lot of them follow the same type of wavelength and idea, that they could all kind of just be presented to you in whatever your mind will accept, right? So perspective, we know, is a lot that's determined by chemical reactions in the brain and this and that, and who frickin' knows what happens in this probabilistic reality that we live in. But so 100%, I think that I was very fascinated with it because it does come across as kooky, but I'm very fascinated with it because it does lean into some ideas of the idea, like, for instance, of evocation or invocation of gods, of deities, of demonic entities and things like that. If you look at Crowleyan magic, if you look at the Golden Dawn systems, if you look at the Key of Solomon, lesser and greater, if you look at all that kind of stuff and think about what they're doing on an abstract and on a concrete level, but especially on a more subjective model, you can see it as all being processes inside of your own mind and psychology, right? So I think that there is a connection. And so when they say that, for instance, they say that it starts with hitting this oneness and consciousness, that's just meditation. That's just meditation. And meditation does make people feel more like in line with things and more receptive. And I feel like I have had communication with entities through deep meditation and ritual, but never anything that I would consider alien, but I would consider them thought forms. And so I think it's kind of the same type thing. Maybe these are the machine elves that Terrence McKenna talks about. Maybe these are the things that people talk about when they have their DMT trips. I believe that there's this other world that we're not seeing. I believe in the astral. Believe's the wrong word. These are all ideas. But I've had experiences. I haven't had as intensive experiences as other people. I have seen lights in the sky. Me and my homie Stokes, we for the first time in our lives, studying, reading, learning all this stuff, we come in and we're outside one day and we see light just go right across the sky and it faded out. Once we really started noticing it, it faded away. And then it popped back over here and it was going again. And then we noticed and watched it just kind of go across. Cloudless sky, not a satellite in the area. We researched it. I wanted to make sure it was a real experience. I don't know what it was, but it was something. So I'm just saying, and aside from that, I've had some experiences in deep meditative states that almost feel like hallucinations. So who knows what it's all about? But there you go. Have you ever heard of a meditation called a sound bath? No, I have not. Remember the 50s when all the flying orbs were filmed at the Capitol? Why is the roadmap around the Capitol building a pentagram with one broken arm? There's a masonry. There was masonry that was used. I know that. Freemasons designed Washington, D.C. So I know you see a lot of the symbolism there. Anybody else find themselves saying random comic people's names? Seriously, I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing, and I find myself saying Aditya Bidikar or Jordy Belair. No, but I do like saying Aditya Bidikar. I really, really do. Now we had another super chat. It says, it seems like you live by yourself and you get lonely, and that's why you go online a bunch. I might be wrong. That's funny. There might be an element of truth to that. I don't know. I just like you guys. I like the PCP Army. There's Stokes. See, that's a crazy night. That never happened to me before either. Like, I know it sounds so simple, but yo, when me and Stokes saw that, like, we flipped our shit. Flipped it. Hey, we got a big super chat from Angel ATMD. Found your channel during the summer quarantine, and I can't tell you how much your live shows have helped me feel less alone. PCP Army. Thank you so much, Angel. I really do appreciate that. Same. Let me tell you about this little man I know. His name is Iron Man and Captain America. It's actually two people, don't you know? I thought it was gonna be Onslaught. What? Where did Onslaught go? I lost the Onslaught button, you know. I think I deleted the GIF from my computer by accident. Why did I do that? Blade! Much appreciated, Angel. Thank you so much. Damn it, that ruined the whole bit, man. I apparently deleted the Onslaught GIF. I have to get it again. I am worth it. So are you, Fable. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. It's on Amazon Prime. So if you have that, you can watch it. We're about to take a quick break, but we'll be right back for more Teen Dog Shades Night here on Rockin Robbie Live. Hey everybody, welcome back to Pop Culture Philosophers, Rockin Robbie Live, Teen Dog Shades Night. Look at all this stuff around me. That's where you can follow us. Those are our patrons. All that stuff and more. It's a Teen Dog Shades Night. We've been having a good time tonight already. You know, we were talking about intention. But before that, we were talking about aliens. And then we were talking about UFOs. Now, I'm not saying that aliens aren't real. I believe aliens are real. There exists life out there somewhere else in the cosmos. I think that that's a statistic, pretty much probability, like high probability, right? So, but I don't know if it's aliens that have visited us. You get what I'm saying? Or maybe it has. Maybe these thought forms can exist. Who freaking knows? All kinds of crazy stuff can exist, I think, in this reality. I've seen crazy stuff. I know a lot of you have seen crazy stuff. You know, I love having conversations with people about their experiences. You know, I chatted with Brooks one time here live on the stream, and he told me that one day he was driving and Jesus walked across the road. Jesus walked across the road. What does that mean? What does that mean? What's the universe trying to say to Brooks with that? Was it just some dude? And he said, dude, with a robe, that classic American idea of what Jesus is, walked across the road. Isn't that crazy? I had a Jesus vision when I was a child. Jesus was up there above the pulpit of the church, and he was in this like flowy thing of like purple and white and gold ribbons and clouds, right? And he was just there, and he was just moving like this, and everything was wrapped around him. It's really weird. He's very, very young, so I don't know so much about that. Then me and Stokes saw the lights in the sky, and we saw it disappear, and then come back, and then disappear. And then I have heard voices in certain meditative states. So pretty wild stuff is out there, I think, in this universe, in the cosmos, all around us. Signs. Guy says, I saw Jesus on the bus. Is that your new song? Brooks is deep, Sam. He liked your gifts, by the way. He's already got them. He's going to be showing them off Friday night, the Meteor Man review. That's right. Friday night, PCP movie night continues with our look at Meteor Man, a live movie review. The next night, Dylan's horror show is going to be all about the work of Adam Green. But before all that, on Thursday night, Joe Corallo is joining us here on the channel for a second time, comic book writer and editor and thought-provoking commentator. Very excited for that. And 2 hours before the Joe Corallo conversation, you can check us out over at Everything Comics, because that's when we're doing the monthly meetup. That's right, me, Bueller, there's Bueller right there. Me, Bueller, Bob, and Dylan talking about the best comics of February. And it's a big week this week. How do you feel about the photos from Mars for Perseverance? I am very excited and stoked. You know me, I'm a big guy about space exploration and science and discovery, and I'm really, really excited. The Bible is a book of magic. 100%, Mike. I don't know if you heard that from me sometime, if you figured it out on your own, or if you heard it from Duncan Trussell, but it is 100% right. Just came back from Frank & Sons, this cool collectibles shop in California. Got the recalled Dead Rabbit #1 signed by Jerry Duggan and Chip Zdarsky Daredevil #1 signed by him. Very cool. Epoch says, Blue Book conclusion regarding aliens. They are not coming from anywhere. They appear on radar and disappear instantly. They come from here. Strangeness. That's why I think it's ultra-dimensional. I think it's ultra-terrestrial. A lot of people feel that too. Brooks is in the house. He says, if you don't believe in aliens after meeting John Holshoe, you're being willfully stupid. Do you believe in negative forces that try to manifest themselves into our reality like from beyond? No. This what my thoughts as of this moment on that kind of stuff is the idea that it's more inward, it's more subjective and less objective. So For instance, I believe that negative forces do manifest themselves into reality, but I think it's based more on your psychology. It's more about your intention. Part of the work of a, let's just say, a magician or somebody into spiritualism, or somebody that's a spiritual person, somebody that's into religion, somebody that's following some kind of a paradigm, somebody that's devoted to something like that, the discipline. One of the things that you learn is that it's all about the idea of finding out your will. And the idea is that your true will is, all right, so what we are is a bunch of reactions, okay? So we just react to things mostly. You're a child and you start crying because you're reacting to being alone, you're reacting to being hungry, you're reacting to being sleepy, you're reacting to being in pain. And then you wind up getting, I love my Bible, first appearance of Jesus. There you go. And so then, yeah, but do you have a first printing? Yeah, see, I got the foil chromium cover. No, but the idea is that most of us don't ever actually come into contact with what could be called your true self, your holy guardian angel, whatever. And what that is your highest aspiration yourself, like who you truly are at the core. If you believe in the soul, what that soul is, without all of the baggage and programming that the world and friends and family and the media and the governments and everything and history and expectation and everything, just you get wrapped up in the shell that you think the shell is you. Get it? Like Rockin Robbie's just a fucking shell. Like who is this entity, this consciousness, this point within the circle? Who is this here, right? So that's the idea. And so understanding who you really are and living your life in conjunction with that, that's the point, right? Some people see the point as ascending higher or whatever and blah, blah, blah. But to me, that's the point of all of this self-development, whether it's spiritual, esoteric, whether it's, whether you're reading a Tony Robbins book or whatever, or Brandon Burchard or anything like that, right? The idea is understanding who you are and what you want, but who you are, and living a life that is 100% in reflection and in conjunction with that. And it's a harder thing than you realize to try to discover who you are, what your actual will is. We're still trying to all find it. And I think that the more people that figure it out, the more our humanity will transcend and evolve, like the collective, because I believe that we are affected by the collective. One of the ideas in Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind that they present is that if you look at mankind and the way that we use our environment is very destructive, the way that we produce energy, right? It's very destructive. We combust things, we destroy things, we dig into things. And the idea that that is reflective of humanity. We're still fighting. We're still violent. We're still idiots basically. But as we can evolve, and it just takes a little bit to help move that conscious level up. I don't know. This is all crazy ideas and stuff, right? But Mike says Damien Eccles, you and Duncan, yeah. Damien Eccles teaches a really good meditation that's related to some stuff I learned years ago, but it's basically like a great thing you can do is wake up in the morning. For instance, if you do want to start trying to experiment with meditation, let's say you want to experiment with it, just do it. It's easy. Don't buy a book, just do this. First, just sit there and don't try not to think for as long as possible. That's it. Start small and then incrementally go up. But a great practice you can do as far as visualization as well is wake up in the morning, sit down comfortably, however, close your eyes, breathe in, do the fourfold breath. Breathe in 4 counts. It doesn't matter the count, just the pattern and the rhythm, right? So whatever's comfortable. Don't get yourself lightheaded and hyperventilate, and don't go too slow or anything like that. Like, just do a nice rhythm. 4 in, hold 4, out 4, hold 4, in 4, out 4. You get it. And so do that, and then visualize on each in-breath the sun rising above you. Visualize it. Imagine the sun's in front of you. You're sitting there on a plane. The sun is rising. And then on the hold, the sun is now right up above your head at noon. And then on the release, it's behind you setting. Now visualize it so that you could see yourself. For instance, say you like visualize that you're in front of you and you can see yourself, and behind you the sun is setting. And then imagine what the sky looks like, and the colors and what it feels like in your favorite time of year or whatever. And that's what you do when you breathe out. And then when you are holding the second time, imagine the sun like set. So it's all black, it's all dark, but you know that the sun is directly below you. And then just keep repeating that, and you could do that. So there you go. And do that for like 5 to 10 minutes every morning. We'll see. But I think the idea is that we have these blockages. We talk about the shadow, and you got to do the shadow work. You got to work with it. You got to understand who you truly are. And part of understanding who you truly are is understanding that you're a monster. Do you get what I'm saying? So you got to understand that there is evil inside of you, or what could be deemed evil. But actually there is no good or evil, because it's all two sides of the same thing. It's all one. Does that make sense? And so meditation helps you achieve that balance a little bit more, and then that could set you up for a little bit more intense works. Another super chat from LMA and Slots. LMA and Slots really appreciate it. It says, my professor, who was a doctor, would say, stick with me, you'll be wearing, that's interesting. I don't know what that means. Anyway, thank you. There is another version of that meditation that Damien Eccles talks about in his book, High Magic. That's cool. It's a cool book. Definitely a good introduction to some of these ideas, but the same type thing, but with the moon. So, and you can even turn that into the phases of the moon too. So there you go. Bobby De La Ghetto says, live every day as if it's your last, because one day you'll be right. You're right. You are right. Instead of the sun setting for Bueller, it's 2 chalupas. You could do a chalupa meditation. You can fucking do it. Like whatever makes you focus. Now, the sun represents the consciousness. Moon represents subconsciousness. And one of the ideas is that these symbols are maintained throughout history in our collected unconscious. So you actually have attachment to that. So some of these symbols are already ingrained. But also your programming has a lot to do with that. So whatever, the cross represents something else, in a different paradigm. Or for instance. So for Bueller, it could be chalupas representing consciousness. Read some Stuart Wilde, huh? Stuart Wilde. But meditation's a good first step if you want to get more into it. Wanted to get your opinion on God Country. Is it worth picking up? Hell yeah. It is definitely worth picking up. I love it so much. I think it's Donny Cates' best work that I've read to date. I have a lot of fun with it. Who's here? Jeff Shaw does a great job with the artwork. Jordy Belair or Jason Wordy is the colorist. I really, really like God Country. It's really good. It's emotionally resonant. It's big and explosive. But I think it's the best Donny Cates book I've read. Chalupa does look like a setting sun or a rising sun. That means the sun at noon looks like a tostada, which are no longer there, or a Mexican pizza, which is no longer there. So that's fun, isn't it? Anyway. Have you ever gone into a deep meditation where you get into like a dreamlike state, but you're not really asleep? Yeah. Like a trance type state? Yeah. It just takes practice. You just got to do it a little bit every day and you work your way up. And then lucid dreaming is a whole other bag too. Be sure to check out Bueller's channel tomorrow for the all-new Coffee and Comic Show. I believe it should be returning tomorrow. I know they had some weather problems, so they had to take it off last week. But yeah, all of Donnie's stuff his early stuff's pretty good. I've achieved the feeling of euphoria and bliss once. Me too. Oh, but do you mean without drugs? Hey, what's up, Bruce? The monthly stream's going to be on Everything Comics. Thursday, 6 p.m. Central. Best comic in 2021 so far? 2021 so far? Oh my goodness. Well, we're only 2 months into it. Haha. Maybe haha, picture of everything else. Homesick Pilots. Department of Truth. Yeah, I'll say that so far. There you go. Dave says Last Ronin 2. Yeah. Yeah, I've done it sober too, man. I was just joshing with you, man. All right, it's time for a top 5. You know, I was talking about Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Let's talk about it some more because tonight's top 5 is top 5 favorite, as of this moment, UFO documentaries. At number 5, I'm going to go ahead and put Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind because I think that's kind of funny because it's Fifth Kind and it's number 5. But, we talked about this one in depth. At number 4, I'm going to say Mirage Men. This is a really, really cool documentary. It's about Richard Doughty, who is this... He worked for this government program in which he was out to seed disinformation to people that were actually uncovering real experiments by the military, developing secret technology that they would actually basically go in and give false information to these people and lead them down the road of thinking that certain things are aliens when they're not, to move it away from the idea that they were actually doing something secretive with technology and advanced technology. And in this documentary, he says 80% of everything that you hear about UFOs and aliens is false and deliberately implanted that way. It's a really fascinating one to check out. It's on Amazon Prime too. Then we got UFOs, The Secret History at number 3. This looks a little cheesy from the cover, and it uses some really cheesy CG futuristic graphics or whatever, but it does a great job of documenting the phenomena from ancient times, biblical times, Middle Ages, through the modern stuff. It doesn't start at Roswell. It starts before that, and it's a really nice and rather exhaustive documentation of the history of the sightings. At number 2, I'm going to say Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers. This is a very intensive documentary about Bob Lazar, who claimed to have worked in was Section 4, I think, of Area 51. His experience and his story is very interesting. I believe a lot of what he says. I also don't really give much credence to a lot of what he says. But it's a very interesting figure in this world of UFOs and aliens. And this was a very fascinating documentary about him. And at number 1, I'm going to put Unacknowledged. You can stream this right now to Amazon Prime. This is another piece of work by Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, and I just absolutely love Unacknowledged. It does a great job of documenting the cases and the revelations that right as this was coming out were being confirmed by the Navy and by all this kind of stuff. And you can think of it as part 1 of, well, you can think about Day After Disclosure, then you can think of Unacknowledged, and then Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, almost as like a trilogy. But Unacknowledged is mostly about the phenomena, about the idea of disclosure, and about the government cover-ups. So all of these together would really, really kind of round out a nice beginner's knowledge of, UFOs and where we're at in the current state right now. So at number 5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. At number 4, Mirage Men. At number 3, UFOs, The Secret History. At number 2, Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers. And at number 2, Unacknowledged, an expose of the world's greatest secret. That is, as of this moment, my top 5 UFO documentaries. So there you go. Mirage Men is really fascinating. All those are really fascinating. I just started watching a new one called The Phenomenon, but I haven't finished it yet. I'm only 30 minutes into it. I fell asleep. Fire in the Sky, the movie. I love that movie. That's about, what's his name? Travis something. What's his name? Robert Patrick played him. Isn't it Travis something? Did I get the name wrong? Travis Walton, yeah. That was a very fascinating story to me. Stokes, are you saying V, as in you like the movie V, the series, or are you saying that it's Section 5? It's Section 5? What is it? I don't know what you're responding to. My father served in the Korean War in the Air Force, and he was working the satellites and swore by some unknown readings and UFOs still to this dying day. Fire in the Sky was terrifying. Somebody should have mentioned that for best horror film of the 90s last night. How about that, right? Jeez. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, always my favorite. Love that movie so much. I freaking love that movie. I was joking, the series, hell yeah. Yeah, the series is dope, man. Robert Englund, baby. So don't forget, Meteor Man reviews coming up on Friday. Yeah, I had to grab something, so I was trying to fool you. The Series V was great back in the day. I think it was in the 80s. Yeah, it was really cool. I haven't seen it in a long time. Not since, like, right after high school. LMA Slots. LMA and Slots with another super chat. Thank you so much, homie. Have you seen the copy of Uncanny X-Men featuring Doctor Doom standing triumphant over the X-Men? Is it old? Is it a key? I don't think it's necessarily a key, but it's a great cover. I think I actually have that comic book somewhere. But thank you so much for the super chat. Tacky's in the house, says, man, I almost missed the whole show. It happens, but you can always catch it on the replay. Yeah, no kidding. LMA is balling out there. Thank you for all the super chats, homie. What are y'all's favorite documentaries about UFOs? Y'all got some? Favorite documentaries about UFOs? Throw them out there if you got them. What's up, Miguel Poole? When's the Aliens Marvel series start? I think it starts in March. It's either March or April. I thought it was March. Let's see. His name is Hellboy. Yeah, it's March. Do 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 do. It gets stuck in my head too, y'all. Yeah, March. I couldn't find a specific day, but March. Chariots in the Sky. One of the most important books in the ancient alien theory. I'm not an ancient astronaut theorist myself, but there's some really good ideas and concepts in there that I think that to me, okay, so, it's not just to me about UFOs and aliens. I'm really also into ancient civilizations, the idea that we don't know much about the history of humanity or civilization on this planet. And I don't necessarily always like, and we touched on this towards the beginning of the show, but I don't necessarily always like the hypothesis of some of the ancient alien theorists where they think that all these amazing things that we were capable of are because of aliens. And I'm like, no, I just think that there's more of a history, more of an evolution that we're not quite aware of. But that's a whole other thing. But Chariots in the Sky is very fascinating. I remember I grew up Christian, and I remember having this atheist friend in middle school and high school, and he was an atheist and tried to disprove God to me because that was very important to him. And it was very important to me to prove God to him for some reason. He gave me Chariots in the Sky because he knew I believed in aliens. And so then the whole idea was that he was trying to convince me that, it could be aliens. But whatever. So that's what Chariots of the Gods always makes me think of. Look at everybody stationing. We now pause for station identification. Hell yeah. Station. All right, y'all. We're about to get into show and tell. But first, I'm going to teach you how to make a sigil. So we talked about if you're interested whatsoever in the idea of I don't know, magic or intention or anything. We were talking about meditation being important, and this is something you'll find out in that documentary. But another step, if you want to just experiment with some stuff, and I posted in the PCP Army this lecture, basically from the DisinfoCon in 2000 from Grant Morrison, in which he talks about sigils. And in that, he describes how to make a sigil. So I've got this little graphic here I'll show you. But that's how you make a sigil. So basically, I'll just read this. Here is an example of a common method to form sigils, using the phrase that you have come up with. This method is fairly simple and is good for the beginner to practice with. Decide on your phrase and spell it out. I am confident. So here you would put your statement of intent, not a negative thing. You're not going to say, I am not a loser, but you would say like, I am a winner, things like that, right? I am confident. Then you take out every vowel and every repeating letter. You are now left with a string of consonants. You take those letters, those shapes, and you put them together, and then you eventually simplify it down. And because one thing that they're not showing here is that I would recommend that you work with that image, like the final image there. I think that's too complex of an image, and I think you would work that a little bit more simply. But you would eventually then wind up with a symbolic representation of your will, of your statement of intent. So your statement, in that example, it was, I am confident, or it could be anything, right? But really think about it, because, you got to be careful. But then you basically, strip that down, make it look as witchy or as occult or as sci-fi or as modern, or however your style is, whatever your jam is, just do that. And then what happens is you need to forget what that sigil represents, okay? Because the idea is that now, through the act of creating the sigil, you have captured the essence of the intent right there into the symbol, okay? And then once you consciously forget what that represents, you can then charge and fire the sigil off into your subconscious mind, which does remember what the symbol represents. And because the subconscious mind deals in imagery and symbolism, it has more of an impression once you're not consciously thinking. But you do have to kind of forget what it's about. That seems to be the hardest thing. In my usage of sigils, what I do is I create them. I usually see a little bit of something just from the idea of creating a sigil. And when I create it, I think you would want to get into a meditative state. So meditation would be first. But then I just kind of leave them alone. And then you do a few, and then over time, months down the road, you don't remember what it was. Then you can charge it. And that's when you actually do the ritual to charge and the sigil, whatever. And how do you do that? Well, you can use drugs. You shrooms, you could do that, whatever, but that's illegal, right? So you don't want to do that. You want to basically bring your mind to the point of one focus. So you either do that through intense meditation that takes years to get to that level, like 100% takes so many years, and I'm not nowhere near that level of meditation skill. But the easiest way is the famous Grant Morrison wankathon that he talked about, which was basically you bring yourself to a point of orgasm. And a point of orgasm is a point of one-mindedness and focus And basically, as you hit your point of orgasm, the climax, you visualize the sigil, and you visualize it glowing brighter and brighter and brighter. And then at the point of ultimate release, you imagine it flinging off into your subconscious void or into the universe, however you want to imagine it. And I don't know what chaos is writing, but it keeps making me approve of it. And I don't even know what's going on. That's what happens. Embrace chaos. But anyway, that's how you do it. But you don't have to like come to orgasm and climax every time. There are other things to do. A method that I really like doing, or used to before the chip incident, was eat a super hot pepper. Not even a super hot, even just a habanero. Eating a hot pepper. Pain is something. So some people use pain. Some people use dancing excessively. Some people stay up all night. Some people do the death stance. There's a whole lot of things that you can do, but it seems like the easiest way for most people is to reach a point of orgasm and fire it off. Look into it. It's how to make a sigil. Try it out. Experiment. Like Grant Morrison says in that lecture, don't believe me. Just do it. Fucking do it. Just do it. Do it. If I'm bullshit, it's bullshit. But if it's true, it's true. If it works, it works. And I'm here to tell you it works. Anyway. So that's how to make a sigil. If you want to learn more about chaos magic and things like that, I would recommend this book right here. It's called Condensed Chaos. It's by Phil Hine. And if you read and enjoy that book, check out Prime Chaos. These are both going to teach you not just how to make sigils and meditate, but how to like do even other things. And if you're into comics and you wanted to see some comics about these subjects, these are the two books I would recommend. The Invisibles by Grant Morrison and Promethea by Alan Moore. Both of these are magical works. They're texts, basically, grimoires almost, if you will. The Promethea is trying to explain the Tree of Life and the Kabbalah through imagery, and the Invisibles is that hyper sigil that we were talking about. So I know it's true because I've done it. But, cheers to Grant and Alan and Phil and Peter and everybody else. Promethea is great. But, I would encourage anybody who wants to fuck around with a sigil. Sigils you see every day, all day. There's a very prominent sigil in a lot of people's lives. It's the crucifixion cross. That's a sigil. That is a symbol that represents complexity and idea in one simple form. That's easily understood. There are sigils that are used in comic books. The Superman. We talk about the Superman meditation. I talk about just go out, look at the sun, stand like Superman, put your hands on your hips and your chest out, and envision the sun energy bathing you in beautiful solar empowering radiation, and envision a Superman sigil, the Superman symbol, on your chest, and imagine it glowing brighter and brighter and brighter, being charged by that solar energy. Do that daily and see what happens. You'll start feeling and acting more like Superman. I'm serious. These sigils, they represent things. You see them in fast foods. Well, a powerful sigil in our culture right now is the McDonald's golden arches. Seriously, just by thinking, just like I just thought about that, right? The golden arches, and now I am craving salt and oil French fries and their Coca-Cola. So sigils are a real thing. Symbols have an impression on the subconscious mind. And one way to think about it is basically kind of like sending code into the universe, like as if it was a computer program, right? So, I don't know. Whatever. So there you go. That was more information I've ever revealed. Y'all, just so you know, I told you, I promised you we were going to have a great Teen Dog Shades night. I feel like we did because that was the most I've ever talked about my personal journey and my usage of sigils. So there you go. I have sigils I created years ago that I've never charged or fired off. And I've had sigils that come true or manifest, I would say. The intention manifests just by the act of creating the sigil. sigil and creation's kind of intense to me. And other people, that's the most simple method. There's other methods to do. Some people make art, like whole amazing pieces of art, and just making the art, and then they hang it up, and then it's there subconsciously every day. They see it, and over time they'll eventually forget what the intent represents, because that's the idea, is that just let it become dull. And so I have sigils that are from years ago that I've never fired off or whatever. But, and part of this may just be that by the act of focusing so much on an intent to create a piece of art or a symbol after it, maybe the other stuff, maybe we don't have to like beat off and eat a hot pepper, and charge these sigils or whatever. Maybe we can just, focus on intent and visualize. And that's another thing that's prevalent in it. So. Chaos says, this is why you asked me about my name. For just general chaos, not chaos magic. There's no beer in that one. I'm drinking my last moose head that Mike got me. Mike06. Who I'm going to invite on Talking Comics Live on Wednesday. So I hope that he can read some comics this week. But Moosehead beer is the beer that's the Canadian beer that's used in My Bloody Valentine. He did a weird stretch and he went, apparently Whole Foods is the only place in our town that really carries it. So it's not bad. The Stokes loves the Teen Dog Shades night. One of my favorite Teen Dog Shades night was the one me and you had with Strickland. And to be honest, I love doing Teen Dog Shades nights here, but I really, really freaking love doing them with other people. So we definitely got to do that some more, because then you really start getting ideas. Because right now it's just most of the, and I love doing these, but it's just me rambling, man. And I can imagine some people that are like, I just want to hear what you got to think about comics and movies, man. I'm not here to what are you talking about? This is crazy. By the way, I do not worship the devil. Don't worry about it. Robbie, do you think He-Man, I Have the Powers is similar to Super? Yeah, the same. You could do the same thing. You could do a He-Man meditation. You could develop that. I developed a Superman meditation just because Superman to me is a figure that represents what other figures like Christ, these sacrificial, like Horus, these sun gods, these gods of sacrifice, Dionysus, Osiris ties into the Superman myth. A lot of them have the same analogy. Moses, the Moses story is so prevalent in the Superman story. That is designed, whether by the creators or by the universe, by coincidence, by synchronicity. Synchronicity is a real thing, man. For instance, I used to use a song when I was first learning how to get into meditative states. I used to use this song on YouTube that I found because I typed in the word chaos magic, and there was this video that had like all these images of just symbols and occult type things, and it would help get me in the mood. But it had this great music that I never knew what it was, but it was like this chanting type thing. And then that video came off of YouTube years ago, and I lost it. And that music would instantaneously, after so long of working with it, that song would instantaneously start bringing me into these levels of like a trance state almost, right? Not maybe super instantaneously, but very, you know what I'm saying. So, and I have no idea what the song was that was used for this video. And then now I know what it is, because it's the damn song that's used in the beginning of the newest Scott Snyder Justice League trailer. The song that you hear when you first, when Superman's dying and you hear the chanting, that's the damn song. So then I put up my Google thing and I was like, listen to this. And it told me what it was. And now I have access to that song again. And when I first watched that Justice League trailer, it was almost a religious experience because of that. It was wild. Do haunted experiences fall under the Teen Dog Shades banner? Yes. It's not just about esoteric philosophy. It's not just about UFOs and aliens. It's not just about ancient civilizations. It's about all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's about all of it. It's ghosts. I think a lot of the phenomena is the same type of thing. I think that I got the idea that there's this other reality. There's this other world that we don't see, that there's other things around us that we can't quite perceive. It's in here in conjunction. I think these entities that people see as UFOs, or for the most part, there's a lot of UFO experiences that are probably a lot of different things. And some of them may be actual things, but a lot of actual more personal contact experiences. Whether they're aliens and UFOs, whether they're angels or demons, whether it's Jesus or the Blessed Virgin Mary, whether it's ghosts, ancestors is a big deal in some cultures. I think that's part of it. I think it's all the same phenomena. And I think it's ultra-dimensional, ultra-terrestrial. There you go. Chaos in Comics wants everybody to know that he does worship the devil. Well, we all got a devil inside of us. So part of the idea of this would be that there is a devil inside of all of us, right? There is a darkness inside of it. That's why I love horror films. Horror films are a way to explore the darkness, because sometimes when you watch a horror film, you're not always rooting for the survivors or the victims. You're usually rooting for the monster. And that, in and of itself, is an almost near magical experience of recognizing the monster within. And that's why I love and respect the work of Wes Craven so much. Do you want to go to Area 51? Is there aliens there? No, I think Area 51 is not an alien place. I think it's government. I think a lot of stuff from the Cold War era that really kicked off the idea of UFOs was basically just I think it was government experimentation during the Cold War. Very the spy surveillance state, the whole era, that whole culture, that spy culture during the Cold War. I think they were trying to hide what they were actually doing. And I think that a lot of it got misinterpreted as UFOs and intentionally interpreted as UFOs. And I actually think that the interpretation of it being UFO phenomenon has turned a lot of what we used to consider angelic visions and demonic entities and visions of the Blessed Virgin Mary, religious experiences, like what Paul describes in the Bible when he sees Jesus and it converts him from Saul to Paul. Like those types of experiences start shifting and changing and going into UFO experiences. And I think that's because of the culture. So I actually think the United States was developing advanced technology during the Cold War. They were trying to keep it secretive so they wouldn't admit anything. They sowed the seeds of misinformation out there, and it all got jumbled up, but it became this cultural phenomena. And so now people know of flying saucers, silver metallic shapes, and I think a lot of these instances that would be typically religious phenomena got reinterpreted because I think they will appear as what's called for or what's most likely. Like so if you're literally doing an evocation of John Lennon will show up if that's what you want to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's what happened with the alien, the Greys. I think that's what happened there. That's just me, though. So, hey, we got a super chat from LMA. He says, "Get you some fries and a Coke, big guy." Thank you so much, man. You have paid for some fries and a Coke tonight. I do appreciate it. We're going to play the dope beat, even though right now we are not building up to the Tomb of Dracula. We're building up to a new computer. Yeah. Just the other night I saw from the sky an alien, and he came to take a ride with me in my G4. You know, man, we soared to the sky so far. He told me you never understand what's coming around the plan, what's coming around the corner. But I'm going to tell you, I gotta warn you, danger's coming if you want to be with the stranger. Don't forget that the stranger is within, and you gotta represent, and you got a little sin. But you gotta do it, what you gotta think. Everybody alien made me start to think. I feel like I'm really shaky on the freestyles tonight. But don't worry. I mean, How dare I ever take 2 weeks in a row off from Rockin Robbie Live on Sunday nights and then try to bring it back with the Teen Dog Shades. How dare I ever? I'm sorry, y'all. Super Bowl. And I'm so glad I watched Super Bowl because now I'm such the fan of the weekend. And I got tickets now because of Mike. Mike, thank you so much. I do have to pay him back, but he bought them. But we are going to see The Weeknd, me, him, and Jay Strick next year. Jay Strick's like, oh, I thought it was at the end of this month. I'm like, bro, you thought we were going to go to a weekend show this month? Nah, it's next year, man. Next year. We'll all be vaccinated. And then we won't talk about aliens anymore. Nah, for real. Believe in vaccinations, I do. You know, I get into some conspiracy shit, but I believe in science as well. But I do want to go to Area 51. I do. I want to go to Roswell. I want to go there, and I just want to go there. I want to go there. I want to go to the Southwest. I've never been there. Well, I've been to El Paso. That's like, I guess, I don't know if that counts, but we went there for we did all the touristy shit. We went to a dude ranch. We went to the Alamo. We went to the Ripley's Museum. That was San Antonio, not El Paso. I've never been to El Paso. That was San Antonio. Where did that come from? I've never been to El Paso. Anyway. Super Chats tonight would have got you halfway to Portland. Yeah, I know. We got to... Well, y'all wanted to do the Tomb of Dracula. Now we need a new computer. Yeah, I want to go to Bueller. I got to go to Portland. And here's the thing. Bueller didn't even know this, but I got to start thinking about this because when I go there, I want to stay for a whole week. I want to do a coffee and comic show. They already told me that was cool. We'll go get coffee. He'll show me the shops. And I'll hang out with them. But I want to go Bigfoot hunting. I want. This is my vision. I'm going to state my intent now. We're going to see if we can make it happen without going through the sigilization process. Because, to be honest, sigils were something I did years ago, and I don't really do them anymore. You wind up doing more with just meditation. But it's a good way to try to see if something will work. Just do a sigil for like $10, 10 extra bucks. Robert Anton Wilson's got this great technique of think of finding a quarter. Like every day when you have just a few seconds, visualize finding a quarter on the ground. Like visualize it heads up if you want. Visualize the date. Just visualize it and see how long it takes doing that consistently, like all the time, right? Doing that consistently all the time. See how long it takes until you find a quarter. I did that. I thought of a quarter with the year 1994 on it. And then one day I went outside after about a week of doing it, pretty much like 20 times a day, and I found a 1994 quarter outside of my comic shop. That's a true story. So let's speak this intent. I want to go to, Portland and visit them and do all that stuff, but I want me, Sam, Bueller, Bob, and Damien to all go camping and hunt Bigfoot one night and document it. That's what I want. Is the fourth kind real? They talk about stuff about the government had an operation where they would fake abductions of people because they wanted to throw more. They wanted to throw more ideas into the UFO phenomena and the alien stuff to lean away from the actual scientific advancements they were making in flight technology. GoPro live Teen Dog Shade stream hunting for Bigfoot. Yeah, can you imagine me out in the fucking woods in Oregon with Bueller and Bob and Damien and Sam hunting for Bigfoot wearing shades and not being able to see shit? Thinking about El Paso so you can hang out with Jim Mint. Yeah, I want to go to El Paso. Him and Matt, Boy Who Had Seven, are there. And I'd like to get a nice Street Fighter, TMNT, like a nice arcade-a-thon. We could just do it at Jim's studio because he's got all those arcade one-ups. Oh, I'd love to meet Jim and them one day. That's a dream, too. Smoke out with Fee. That's going to happen, too. But we'll go chupacabra hunting. Is that what we're going to do? What's the legend in El Paso? What's going on there? Could you guys imagine? I'm going to tell you this. It would be the biggest video ever. And we would do it we could cut it up into 4 parts or 5 parts and put it on every channel. And then you could put it together. It'd be like the most viewed video ever. in the comic community would be Robbie joins Bueller, Bob, Damien, and Sam Bigfoot hunting in Oregon, because it would be the most random thing. Bueller would be like, we should make like a found footage film, actually, and just like go with it and be like, I brought a cooler. Oh, Bueller's in charge of food. And we're like, it's all chalupas. We don't have a microwave, so it's just cold chalupas. Well, at least they're not Alabama pancake chalupas. Yes, I visualize a Tomb of Dracula 10 in my lot. Here's the thing. The probability means a lot too. The probability of finding a quarter versus the probability of finding a Tomb of Dracula 10 in a parking lot. You see the difference? Because Grant says in that thing I posted in the PCP Army, his lecture at DisInfoCon, you could just type in Grant Morrison Chaos Magic and it will pop up. It's one where he's at this like podium that looks like devil horns. It's like 40 minutes or so. And he talks about the sigil process. He talks about a lot. He talks about the creation of the Invisibles, his experience in Kathmandu. Hunting for Yeti in the Himalayas. How about just trying to survive in the fucking Himalayas? That'd be enough from our soft American asses, to be honest with you. I really want to do that now. I want to go like UFO and Bigfoot hunting with Bueller and them, the Portland Comics crew. I'm like, all right, guys, I want to be on everybody's channel, but we got to do this. We got to do this Bigfoot. We got to go camping one night. Man. I know that I think Damien and Bueller were both here earlier. I got to bring that up. I'm like, we're going to go camping, right? We're going to go hunt for Bigfoot and shit. It can't all be about drinking coffee, comics, and smoking weed. It just can't all be about that. Can't all be about that. All right, show and tell time. For show and tell, I'm going to really highlight Sam Fett. He was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still here, but Sam is a big fan of the channel, an essential member of the PCP Army and the PCP family. And so we really do appreciate y'all so freaking much. And Sam and his wife, there's Sam right there. And he says, I'm going to miss Morrison on GL. Me too, homie. So Sam came to the shop on Saturday. He's been to the shop before, so I've met him and his lady before. And they are great people. And he brought me and Brooks an A-OK. Brooks has his. He was very pleased with all of it. And he's going to be showing it off on the Meteor Man stream. But Sam is my man, and I'm going to show you what Sam got me. First of all, we were literally talking about these the other day. But he got me the Star Trek Burger King glasses, which I used to have, and then I eventually ruined them by putting them in a dishwasher, and then they got left at an old roommate's house. But he got me the complete set, y'all. This is from the first Star Trek movie. Kirk, Uhura, Spock, and Nemo. Bruh, I love these damn cups. I would open one right now. I was about to open Nero. We got to do something. So let's do Spock. We'll open up the Spock one. I would drink a beer from it, but I'm gonna wash this first. It's still in the package. Look at that. Oh, so thank you so much, Sam. Now that I have these again, I'm freaking excited. I love my collectible glasses. I have some Star Trek Taco Bell glasses from Search for Spock. I have two of them. I don't have the full set, but those two were given to me by my friend Rob. And then he got me this Commander Riker Christmas ornament. That is so freaking cool. I actually only have like a tiny little like 18-inch fiber optic black Christmas tree because I live in a small apartment. But now I'm going to get a bigger Christmas tree so that I can use this for Christmas this year. So I appreciate that. He got me these cool freaking toys. I don't know if I recognize it. It almost looks like they're Superhero Squad, but he got me the Fantastic Four oriented ones. So there's Susan, and Brooks has a lot of these that Sam gave him of other characters. But there's Mr. Fantastic. There is Johnny the Human Torch. And then Silver Surfer. And the man himself, Dr. Doom. So hell yeah, Sam, those are super cool. I really appreciate those. And now I'm going to have to hunt down the Thing. And he also got me the Iron Man Legacy of Doom hardcover. He knew I was a big Doom fan. And I appreciate this. Sam, I actually do have the original issues that this is based on, right? The whole idea. But I don't actually have these issues. And so having it in a hardcover, really, really freaking cool. So thank you so freaking much. Yeah, because I have the original issues, because they did 2 of these, where it was like Iron Man 150 and 151, or 149, 140, and 150, and then 100 issues later, they did it again. And it was the one where they travel back in time. So every time Tony and Victor get together, it's great. And I actually have not checked this one out. So I appreciate that. And then, y'all, Sam really touched me. Him and his wife had this commissioned. So this is some of the crew from the Starship Enterprise, including Q, by the way, so that's awesome. And it says Robbie right there, and it's great art. You got Picard, LaForge, Data, Q, and Worf. And then look at that, y'all. It's Creamsicle. Creamsicle, my cat, who would be 12 in April, but he passed away a month ago, and it was very devastating, and Sam recognized that. And he told me basically that Creamsicle is not gone. He's just on a different mission. And, man, it really touched me, and I went inside, and I just started freaking crying. So, Sam, I thank y'all so much. This is beautiful. This is going on the wall. I appreciate you immortalizing Creamsicle like that with the crew of the Enterprise. Some of my favorite characters. I really love that Q's on there as well. So thank you so much. This means a lot. I really do appreciate that, brother. You're the best. And we always wrap show and tell up with the final 9. We do the first 6. Now we're doing the final 9. Continuing through the P's in my Blu-ray collection, there's the Prestige. You know I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan. So there you go. Speaking of magic. You know I like Disney. There's Princess and the Frog. Nice. Big version. It's like Blu-ray, DVD, and digital copy. It's like a 3-disc set. It's a little much, but whatever. Prometheus, talking about ancient aliens. How about that? Love Prometheus. Now we got the Psycho franchise. There's my Psycho number 1. One of the greatest movies of all time. There's Psycho 2. Oh, love it. Psycho 3. Love it. Psycho 4. The Beginning. Come on, y'all. And no, I don't have the Vince Vaughn Psycho, but it's actually coming in the mail, so don't worry about it. Pulp Fiction. Love that film. And we're going to wrap it up with our first R movie. Even though technically it's an F movie, it's in my Rambo section, but there's my copy of First Blood on Blu-ray. So that means next week on Rockin Robbie Live, the first 6 is going to start with some Rambo films. So there you go. Had a great time hanging with you guys tonight, doing the chat, doing the show, talking about fun stuff for Teen Dog Shades. I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you had a great weekend. Have the most positive and great week you can. Live it with intent. Visualize success. Y'all have a good one. We are dipping out. Like I said before, though, be sure to check us out Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central Time for a live conversation with Joe Corallo. But 2 hours before that at 6 p.m. Central Time, join us at Everything Comics for the monthly meetup. PCP Movie Night, Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Time, Meteor Man, and then Dylan's Horror Show on Saturday. Y'all, it's been real, and it's been fun, and believe it or not, it's been real fun. And the last thing I gotta say is, was this real? To what extent do you think certain people that maybe have a celebrity status know about this type of shit? Like, like the contact scenarios. By the way, my stage name when I was a rapper was Contact, just so you know. Like, for instance, what does Steven Spielberg know? Is he part of a... Because, for instance, there's this alleged idea that Hollywood is used to paint aliens as a threat. So even movies like The Thing, all the stuff from the Cold War era, all that kind of jazz, right? Let me sit up for this. I got too relaxed. It's like, what do you guys think about? Like, what am I, Jelani? But like, what do we think about that? Like, okay, so like, the idea is they're trying to paint. I told you I was going to tell you why the government's lying to you about UFOs. Here's why. The government wants to paint it as a threat because if extraterrestrial contact, if the contact scenario is true, whether it's alien civilizations out in outer space or whether it's extra-dimensional beings, okay? It seems to lead people that seem to experience this phenomena, at least a lot of people, there's different kinds of stuff. So first of all, we know that the government had a program in which they falsified abductions, meaning they made abductions like happen to people, right? Like they did things, like they were sowing disinformation, and they were also actively making people believe this kind of shit happened to them. Okay? So, and then they get Hollywood involved, and they're trying to paint it as a threat. And they're doing this because then if they can paint that there's an alien threat and that it's dangerous, right? The idea is that they can then more likely coalesce the world into a new world order, a one world government. I seem to like to get away from New World Order type conspiracy theories because it's tied into a lot of my religious programming when I was being raised as a Baptist. So I understand New World Order meaning certain things, obviously with the Antichrist and whatnot, right? So, but here's the thing though, but why else? Because I don't seem to like that idea because it's too ingrained into that kind of way of thinking. But then again, there are people that are trying to bring about what they believe to be the second coming quicker, even in governments. Like there are rich, organizations that have all the material necessary, apparently. I've read this some places, I can't verify this, but they have all the material necessary to rebuild the temple. If they can get the Dome of the Rock torn down, they can rebuild the holy Jewish temple in Jerusalem. And they believe that would help quicken the second coming because the temple is mentioned in the book of Revelation as being present. So there are some people that are trying to do some things, and there's some ideology that can be tied up into it. But this is Teen Dog Shades post credits, y'all. My thing is this: most of the people that have these contact experiences, whether it's a religious phenomena, which, and by the way, all of this I think is true. Like to each individual, that's like so real to them, these experiences. Okay, I'm talking about the real ones, not the ones made up by the government, or not the ones that are falsified or people are misled into, or whatever. Even if that stuff's real, right? But the people that have these legitimate and authentic contact experiences with other beings and what they deem to be other forms of intelligence, which you also find in some esoteric writing and philosophy, that these alien voices may in fact be your true self, your holy guardian angel. It's basically you, and that like within you lies everything, as above, so below. So the idea behind that is that you, as an entity of consciousness in this world, in this cosmos, in this universe, you are a microcosm of the macrocosm. You are an exact replica. You contain everything that the universe contains. Get it? So, there you go. As above, so below. And that leads into, I'm not saying credence, but it leads into the understanding and belief of astrology. how it's all tied up together. So, there you go. Oh, no. But here's the thing. But what's the difference with, like, Steven Spielberg? Because look at this. Steven Spielberg makes alien movies in which contact is a good thing. So what does Steven Spielberg know? That's a question. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's not an alien threat. That is a true contact scenario. E.T., same thing. The danger, the villains in that are the government. He didn't really make a violent alien film until War of the Worlds, which I think was kind of terrible. But there you go. Don't forget, Superman was an illegal alien. He turned out all right. You right. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us, man. We appreciate it. You're worth it.